This afternoon. Live look at South Ozone Park, New York here at Aqueduct Racetrack for Belmont at the Big A. And we got the trio up here. Greg Wolf, New York Racing Association handicapper Andy Serling, Acacia Clement. Good to see you both as we get set to bring you just 5 minutes away here from race 3. And there's a pick 6 carryover that begins in the next race.
This is sort of the appetizer for today's show. We're just going to start out a little sneak preview for 5 minutes here to go over a few races and get ready for the pick 6, and then we'll be back at 3 o'clock.
Yeah, looking forward to it. But it's always fun as we don't get a chance to share the set, the three of us, all that often.
Not
so
enough.
It's always something we enjoy.
Yeah, post-parade happening now, so we'll get to it here in just a moment. Here's what's ahead, presented by Claiborne Farm. Voila. This race, 20 maiden claiming 7 furlong sprint coming up, and then part 2 of our coverage coming up after a brief rest. We deserve a break after a hard half-hour of work.
I think a half hour on, a half hour off is the way it really should be.
We'll be
a little nap.
Back from 3
time.
to 5:30. Yeah, with races 5, 7 start of the late pick 5 in the 5th, and that feature in the 7th. We'll see Certified Lover Boy, Chileno in a good group going a mile and 3/16 in that race. You can play all the action, including the Big 6 carryover today, by getting signed up right here at Naira Bets. Bet any track, anywhere, anytime. Get that $200 deposit match new customer bonus with that code at sign up, match 200. Again, right there at nairabets.com. Excuse me. 20 maiden claiming 7 furlong sprint. And favorite here, one who's trying dirt for the first time. That's the 3, John the Baptist, who we'll get to in just a moment. Kendrick Carmouche will be aboard for Mark Hennig. And here's Spirit Dragon, a first-time starter from the rail.
John Kimmel doesn't run too many firsters. Maiden claiming race, just 0 for 5 over the last 5 years.
Very satisfactory. It's start number 13.
Has not been that satisfactory to the bettors. Has been the favorite in 5 out of his last 6 races without being able to get the win.
And Rice decided to claim, though, after the 0 for 12 start. Here's John the Baptist, first on dirt.
Yeah, not my cup of tea. I understand a new face here, been in the grass, but they're overbetting this horse based on turf races, not dirt.
One of the best efforts from Prairie Dunes came on a sloppy track.
Getting the blinkers back on, tried that 2 starts back, has been knocking around at this level.
Rider change, Katie Davis on her Sugar Baby.
The 1 dirt race by this horse is just not good enough to compete here.
6, 7 starts, he's never hit the board, Klimt Master.
Yeah, this is a horse who tried his hand at Laurel the last couple, was running here in New York for 20 prior with no success.
And Greg Sacco Barn with Battle Anthem as Manny Franco.
Yeah, the likely favorite by post time in this race. The 1 dirt race, while beaten 16 lengths, is just better than the horses in this race have run, and lost to a promising horse, unfortunately has not run back.
Game face on. It looks like for John the Baptist. Where are you two going to wind up?
I picked Battle Anthem. I think, Acacia, you went to the firster here.
I did. A little bit of a new face. I'd rather take a first-time starter with no excuses versus a horse that's solely been on the turf. Spirit Dragon, maybe this horse just does not have much ability, but debuts for 20. Both of the siblings did win sprinting on the dirt. Is a bit cold on the board, though.
I think that the key in this race is you want to pick against the 2, and I realize he's not the same short price that he's been in a lot of races, but very satisfactory. He's just had a lot of chances and keeps failing.
Well, here's the one getting on this new surface for the first time. Let's check in with Maggie Wolfendale. What do you think? Will he take to it?
I don't know. I'm not taking him at a short price, that's for sure, because he's just not that impressive looking either. He's a horse that has never grown. He's small, he's short coupled. So yeah, 7 furlongs on the dirt. If you're going to try the dirt, it makes sense for a distance. But I just don't see it. He's a more than ready out of a dam that the whole family is nothing but turf. Now, he does get a wet track, and sometimes they'll find it a little easier as it is, compact and floated and what have you. So it's a little bit of an easier surface for a proverbial turf horse to push off of. But at a short price, no thank you. As we'll take a look here at number 7, Battle Anthem. His lone dirt race, I thought, at least from a figure standpoint, makes him competitive here. Accelerize just tour de force in debut for Todd Pletcher that day at Tampa, going gate to wire. Moment's Notice, who had run second that day, a horse that I remember liking as a 2-year-old, finally broke through in his next start, earning a 76 buyer, and he was just slow. Now, he's been slow, and that's a problem. But I will say this, Manny Franco, an aggressive rider, and on top of that, has given this guy a brisk and aggressive warm-up. He has not stopped moving out there, and with that outside post, I think it does do the favor to him that at least maybe, you know, he gets in there, he doesn't have too much time to stand around, and he just gets away a bit cleaner to give himself the opportunity to have more forward position. I do think, like Andy, he is the horse to beat, though I did side with the first-time starter, Spirit Dragon. I get it, Acacia's right, he is not taking much money. But I just want to touch on Ricardo Santana, who is kind of a new face, if you will. He rode here during this the fall of Belmont at the Big A last year with success. And given that he's coming out of a colony at Oaklawn, which he has success in the past, where pretty much every rider there is aggressive, not that many riders here are aggressive, and that has worked favorably for Ricardo. So look for him to at least put Spirit Dragon in the game. I thought for a first-time starter, in which John Kimmel is usually pretty adept at getting them to win at first asking, looks incredibly fit, strong, well-muscled, is wearing front wraps for his first start, but at least I think he's well spotted for this debut, Greg.
The one who has done nothing wrong. Thank you, Maggie. That first-time starter from the rail out of an unraced dam. 2 foals to race, both winners. There is Spirit Dragon.
Yeah, I'm a little bit more encouraged hearing Maggie's comments about him. Like I said, just the least amount of excuses, 2-1 on a horse like John the Baptist, who, as Maggie touched on, the pedigree is so much more turf. Could he win? Sure. Maybe Mark Hennick's taking a shot, but Andy, at a short price, I don't want to find out with him doing something for the first time in here.
Right, you can't blame Mark Hennick for taking a shot at a lower level to sort of check a box with him. These horses are habitually terrible gambles. They win occasionally, but I mean, if you liked him and you got 4-1 or something, that's one thing. 2-1 to me, to be the same price as the 7, it just doesn't really make sense to me. The 7 is obviously in his one dirt race ran so much better. Not for me, John the Baptist.
A middle pick 4 begins here in this third from our Friday action here at Belmont at the Big A. Let's go to Chris Griffin for the call.
Last to load, Battle Anthem to the outside, Manny Franco. Going in. All set. And they're off. Breaking a step slow was Spirit Dragon. The leader is John the Baptist towards the inside, and Clint Master is with the lead 2. In between horses, makes a lineup of 3, is her Sugar Baby. That's the leading trio. Just off of them, Battle Anthem is going to stalk from 4th, and now Spirit Dragon broke a step slow, but is rushed up now to be a close-up 5th. In behind them comes Prairie Dunes and the early trailer. Very satisfactory. 23.42 for the opening quarter mile. John the Baptist with a neck in front. Here to the outside, that's her Sugar Baby, and Katie Davis just ranging up on this outside of this leader. Clint Masters trying to keep up from 3rd. All in is Battle Anthem is wide, is trying to make up ground and making hard work of it. And Spirit Dragon is going to slip through to the inside with a ground-saving journey. Is now taken 3rd. Second to last, Prairie Dunes on the trailer. Very satisfactory. John the Baptist is in front, is up by a length and a half. It's John the Baptist trying to open up on the field. The rest are all in. Extended in behind as John the Baptist reaches the top of the stretch and is extending the margin. John the Baptist is up by 3, 4 widening lengths now, is approaching a final furlong. Still chasing there is her Sugar Baby down to the inside. Very satisfactory, is making up some ground. Also starting to get a grab of the ground is Spirit Dragon, and Spirit Dragon is rolling late but running out of time with a 16th left to go. It's going to be all John the Baptist here in New York. That's your winner. Spirit Dragon gets 2nd, then came Very Satisfactory and Battle Anthem in 1 minute 24 and 4.
First time on a dirt surface, did go back down to favoritism at 2-1, and John the Baptist takes this 3rd at Belmont at the Big A.
Not a horse I would have bet in a million years, and I'll tell you what, I'm surprised he was in the front end based on his PPs. That was a tough thing to see, but he was a dominant winner the entire way around the track with nobody else doing much running.
No, certainly ran it to that short price, and I think it was a smart move by Kendrick Carmouche to put him on the front end, especially with horses that have been on the turf. You don't have to worry about dealing with kickback. Sometimes they can handle an off-going a little bit better. The first-time starter, Spirit Dragon, broke in and a little bit awkwardly at the start, and he was the only one to kind of run on a little bit at the end. But as you touched on, Andy, not much movement throughout the running of the race.
No, I mean, I know that 2 sucked along from last, but he just sort of sat in the rail, and it was more, I think a lot of the thing about this race was the horse is not running. The 7, I don't know if he's handling the track. He didn't seem to be handling the track, sort of drifting out in the backstretch as Manny was trying to motivate him, and just not a particularly competitive race.
3-1, 2-7 finish. Your favorite, the victory. This winner and the 7 were told claimed for $20,000 out of the race. They'll be heading to New Barns.
Wow.
Somebody claimed this horse? I could see the 7 being claimed. Wow. Good luck.
Prices when we come back. Look ahead to part 2 of our coverage later on this afternoon. Chileno in the 7th. Manny Franco. Brad Cox can repeat what he did 2 starts ago. Look out, rest of this field. Stay with us.
Bucaro, any day.
Book 'em, Dano. Prince of Monaco in between. It's going to get very close. Book 'em, Dano.
Any track.
결승선 끝까지 사전 사승 최고의 꿈 최고의 꿈 최고의 꿈
Any surface.
And it's Queen Maxima in a one-horse race. She is absolutely brilliant. Queen Maxima.
Bucaro, a leading sire of stakes winners on every surface from coast to coast and around the globe. Standing in New York at Iron Horse Stallions.
Back with you on our Friday coverage. You're watching, in case you didn't know, America's Day at the Races. Right in our face.
How could you think of anything but America's Day at the races when you see that picturesque view of the Big A?
That was a lot. John the Baptist, first time on a dirt surface. Kendrick Carmouche, aggressive, jumps to the front, goes gate to wire.
Yeah, I mean, this race, you could see it was over with a half mile to go. I mean, Greg, you even called it earlier. This was completely uncompetitive.
Yeah, ran away from this field. First-time starter, Spirit Dragon, did a little running, but the main running went to John the Baptist, and I think the happiest guy on the grounds today is Mark Hennig, who not only won with this horse, but he was claimed as well. So very successful afternoon at the Big A.
Claimed by Rob Falcone, who, listen, and I can relate, you know, he's a Nets fan, so I can understand. You do some irrational things.
We wish him all
It's
the
a
best.
fellow Nets fan. Love Rob.
And he's got the horse to beat in the next race coming up. I know we're going to be off the air by then, but
Mark,
we'll see.
yeah.
Yeah, Mark, yeah.
Main track only entrant that'll kick off the pick 6. That's in race 4.
Not favored, though.
Set
Wow.
for the pick 6 to begin. Coming up next, meant for the grass. Move now from a mile and a 16th to 1 mile main track on the sloppy sealed racetrack. And 1 to 4 on Serendipity, who debuted going long on grass. Now comes Dirt debut. The second dam actually did win the Grade 3 Comely on the dirt.
This horse is going to be 2 to 5 in here, looking at doubles. I mean, this horse is an overwhelming favorite over the 8. And I picked her thinking they'd be similar prices, but what Serendipity has, not only as you mentioned, pedigree to suggest she'll land on the dirt,
Yeah.
but also speed.
She does. She has a lot more speed than Cat Chat, but that being said, she's only ever run on the turf, whereas the Mark Hennig trainee Cat Chat, you have to say that one slowly as you pronounce it, but she has some strong dirt form, and I think beat a decent field at Gulfstream last out.
Faced one of the better 3-year-old fillies in the country on dirt.
In Shred the
Shred the
Gnar,
Gnar, yeah.
we're all about Shred the Gnar here.
I think she's going to be really
Very
good.
talented.
She won the, for people that don't know, she won the first race on Friday on Oaks Day at Churchill and ran a 3-point higher buyer speed figure than the Oaks.
Yeah,
now,
that's
keep in mind, it was
good
a dry
cheer,
track at that point, and
Yeah.
then it got wet later.
Let's look ahead to what is our feature race on the card this afternoon. That is race 7. Again, this will be on part 2 of our coverage. Mile 3/16, allowance optional claiming field. And Chileno, Brad Cox, Manny Franco, coming off a second place effort in the 6-year-old return. The start before that, this was an off-the-charts domination.
Yeah, huge effort from Chileno with that 98 buyer speed figure, 2 starts back. Came off of a 4-month layoff last time, had a wet track to deal with, pirate wired the field. He ran well, finishing second best chasing that day. Michaelicious also comes out of that same race, which I thought was a little bit interesting. Now, he is a horse that does not have a lot of speed. Thought that he could be intriguing coming back. Now in the Carlos Martin barn, I know moving from Mike Maker, but picks up Ricardo Santana, Andy, who really has been riding very well since moving his tack to New York and is a welcome addition to the jockey colony.
Yeah, no, I'm thrilled he's here as well. And you look at this race, unless you think Good Skate's going to find that occasional good form, it's kind of, you think Certified Lover Boy's going to wire the field. Chileno, like all these Brad Cox horses, probably run a big race. And the only sort of wise guy is Michaelicious. And there aren't that many places to go in this Pick 6 sequence to try to find horses at better prices than just reasonably short and logical horses.
Certified Lover Boy, Chileno, they're going to dominate the wagering in there. No love for Good Skate?
Well, he's a very hard horse to rely on because he'll run well and then he'll run terribly. He's run well in muddy sealed tracks. I just don't have a lot of trust that he's still the same horse, but it's not impossible.
He's just so inconsistent recently, and that's my biggest question with him. He obviously has shown some ability, and he's shown that he can handle distance, which I think that there's a chance that Certified Lover Boy can wire the field in here, but I do question, can he get the mile in 3/16?
I agree with that.
That to come again later on, part 2 of our coverage. It kicks off at 3 Eastern. We're going to take a timeout. We'll be back. Look ahead to stakes stacked Saturday afternoon here in New York in a New York bred. My Main Squeeze looking to add another stake to the resume, coming off a runner-up, third place finish, I should say, in the Grade 1 Madison in her return.
And they're off in the Naira Benz Haskell.
In the Belmont Stakes at Saratoga.
Dornock setting up moderate pace, 3/4 of a length ahead.
As the field turns for home.
They're at it again. The 2 Belmont first and second place finishers.
Mind frame on the outside. It's coming after Dornock.
Dornock wins the Haskell.
It will be Dornock to win the Belmont Stake.
Horse racing? Check. Weekly promotions? Got 'em. Huge payouts? You bet. With Naira Bets. Download the app today and bet on any track, anywhere, anytime with live HD horse races, betting tips and tutorials, expert picks, and more. You bet with Naira Bets. Join now for a new member bonus at NairaBets.com.
The brilliance of the legendary Arrowgate and the speed and stamina of the sire of sires, Uncle Mo. Introducing Petulante, the first son of Arrowgate to stand in New York after winning handily at first asking.
Petulante! He's got a kick here, and he's going to prove much the best.
He won or placed in all 7 of his lifetime starts, including the Grade 3 Salvatore Mile.
Petulante Nimbus Class, Petulante!
Petulante, now standing in New York. For information, visit IHDVStallions.com today.
The only major U.S. 2-year-old sale held over a dirt surface, Mid-Atlantic May, continues to produce graded stakes winners across the globe and on all surfaces. Recent grads include Eclipse champion Straight No Chaser, brilliant winner of the Breeders' Cup Sprint, as well as this year's Riyadh Dirt Sprint at the Saudi Cup, plus Grade 1 winners Full Count Felicia and Sacred Wish. The Fasig-Tipton Mid-Atlantic May 2-year-olds in training sale, May 19th and 20th in Timonium, Maryland. Where will you be?
Ruffian has the lead by a length and a half, and Equal Change is now second. Let Me Linger drops back. Gallant Trial swings to the outside, and down the stretch they come, with Ruffian in front now by 2.5 lengths. Equal Change is second by the same margin, and Gallant Trial races third. As they come to the final 16th, it's Ruffian in front by 2. Equal Change is second. It's Ruffian in front.
One of the truly all-time greats, Ruffian. She led at every point of call in every race she ran and set a new stakes record, all stakes races she ran in.
Her spin away, I actually saw her in the spin away. She went 8 and change and won by like 14 lengths. She was one of the all-time greatest racehorses.
Truly amazing. I always love looking back on those replays and just how dominant she was in so many of her races, Andy.
You know, Equal Change, who beat her, a King Ranch horse, actually was a very, very good horse. And she's also been a good brood mare. There's a lot of good pedigree in her on the dam side. And she actually ran one of the best races anyone ever ran against Ruffian, and she got beaten 2.5 lengths. Great
1976 Hall of Fame inductee, race named in her honor, part of a tremendous lineup on Saturday here at Belmont at the Big A. And we talked going to break about the New York bred filly, My Main Squeeze, multiple graded stakes winner. And she'll try and collect another one tomorrow for Mike Maker, Manny Franco, and Buck Butler. 3 for 4 on this surface.
Well, she's probably kind of the horse to beat in here. She gets a good post. She's run consistently well, and I thought she ran decently, probably a little too close to pace in this race. But will there be enough pace in this race? We'll see, depending on scratches.
Yeah, I think that's a good question. It was also off a layoff for her, and she's a horse, too, that I think is probably best around the 7 furlongs. I know she's 2 for 2 at the mile, but both of those races were against New York bred company, and I think she's really found her best form going the 7/8. We'll see how the race does play out going the 1-turn mile and if she's able to get into her stride. She's a very cool New York bred.
To her outside headline numbers, Andy, how do you feel about her in that performance last time out? Is she just getting better, or do you feel like the wet track may have moved her up?
I think being in front moved her up in that race, in that situation, allowed her to dominate in the front end. The reality of headline numbers is she's been disappointing. She broke her maiden extremely impressively with a big figure, and while she's run some decent figures after that, she really has been a bit of a disappointment. Not a bad horse, just a bit disappointing. And for me, Acacia, it's just, I hope she runs well. I have a tough time trusting her.
Me too. And also, that was going a mile and an 1/8 as well. Now she's going to cut back a bit. Is she going to be able to kind of get a cushy lead like she was last time out? Exactly. I would not anticipate that being the case.
Meanwhile, Jody's Pride, who was precocious early on. They were trying to get her on the grass. She kept winning on the dirt. She just missed in the Breeders' Cup Juvenile Fillies. Now she'll try and get the first graded stakes win of her career. Let's go down to Maggie.
Yeah, Jody's Pride, a horse that I have been a fan of throughout her career. But if we take a look back at her last race, which was at Oaklawn in the Azeri against Horse of the Year, Torpedo Anna, in which she projected to be forward in that race, especially with the late scratch at the gate of the Main Speed Wild About Hillary. Well, Jody's Pride, unfortunately, got squeezed at the break, found herself in last, then got a bit headstrong down the backside, and that is never how you're winning races, while Torpedo Anna was allowed to waltz along on the front end. Jody's Pride, though, is a horse that I've always questioned whether she really wants to go 2 turns. To me, she's built like a horse that is more compact, and so therefore that body frame lends itself better to 1-turn distances. So needless to say, I like her cutting back to this 1-turn mile in the Ruffian tomorrow. We'll see if she can get back on track here, Greg. I just feel like the conditions might be right up her alley.
We'll look forward to it, see if she can rebound off that poor performance last time out early on in our card tomorrow. We have graded stakes on the grass as well with this loaded lineup, and a horse that pretty much everyone sort of did not believe in except for this guy. Even you. Wow. Farbridge. Andy, you believed in this horse.
Well,
last summer.
He's teasing occasionally a little bit. I've always liked this horse, but he is a quirky horse. And one of the reasons I thought that he had a chance to win the Sword Dancer was that he drew the inside, and I thought it would make it easier for him to get his rail position. Now, I never imagined he'd end up wiring the field. But he's a horse that really wants to be inside. Now, he was inside a lot of this race before rallying outside. Obviously, this was not a super effort off the layoff, but he's really a horse that's better with longer distance. And if you look at last year, he didn't run a particularly fast race in winning his return race at Gulfstream Mile 16th either. And then he ran some big races thereafter, even though he didn't win. I just don't want to pick him at a short price in this race because of all his quirks, but he's the horse to beat.
I get it. You've made the money with him last year when he was 8-1 and when he was prices, which was a great pick that day as well. And that was Joel Rosario really at his best. We talked about how instinctual he is and using what Farbridge had to offer there, and he's best when he's able to be on the rail, and Joel fits this horse like a glove, being able to respond to wherever he needs to be.
I agree, and he should have no problem getting the fence in this race.
Of course, I was kidding, but many B2 Godolphin horses in that race. That was nice pick by Andy this past summer. Meanwhile, Anglophile, he'll leave himself a lot of work to do. At his best, is he good enough to beat this field?
Well, it's really amazing. I had forgotten this. He's the horse that won the Dueling Grounds Derby and beat Farbridge a long, long time ago. That was the point where Acacia was not rooting for him, just so you know.
Yes.
She wasn't as big a Farbridge fan for that race as she is now.
I did.
You know, listen, the horse in front, Limited Liability, should have won this race. A couple of races this horse lost that I thought the rides cost the race. But not a lot of horses were closing, and he closed and ran really well. I think your points are well taken, Greg, about his general lack of speed. But I sometimes wonder in these 5-horse races like this if it's mitigated a little bit, his lack of speed, because the fields tend to get a bit bunched.
Yes, they do. And, you know, we often hear Richard McViore talk about it, how much more it becomes a rider's race because you're so aware. And also, I mean, these are horses that I've been around for a while. You know everybody's running style, you know kind of where these horses are going to be positioned. I think everybody knows Farbridge is going to go to the rail as his tactic and what that will be. The thing about Anglophile, he's remarkably consistent. He just hasn't seen the winner's circle in quite a long time.
And his lack of speed probably plays into that a little bit. We need more fresh blood in this division, and that's why I was so excited by Deterministic's race last week, because he showed, turning from 3 to 4, that he really may be a much better horse. And we need some more blood in these turf races, because there's some nice horses at the top, but they have not been deep divisions the last couple of years. So hopefully some of last year's 3-year-olds can step it up.
He certainly did. That was a rousing performance.
That was, I mean, he looked like a wildebeest out there. He was just, I mean, he felt like he was running as strongly as he was at the end as he was at the start.
He was, and Kendrick Carmouche said he's such a great mind that he really kind of settled himself so nicely, and then he accelerated again in the stretch, which you love to see.
And you had told me how much he had grown up since last year, and it seems like that's absolutely true.
Back to this race, though, for tomorrow. Obviously, a little disappointing with Capture the Flag, how he performed last time out.
But he's the speed here. I mean, are they going to? They've got to try to put.
Yeah.
I mean, they've got to put him on the front. Trying to rate him last time did not work out. They need to be aggressive with him.
Great.
That's race 2, early stakes action. Let's take a look at the lineup that we have for you on Saturday. Hopefully, worst of our weather behind us.
It is. We didn't get nearly as much rain today as we had expected. They were talking about 1.5 inches, and it looks like the total rain for over 24 hours is going to be maybe a ½ inch.
So Man of War, Nayrud, take the A train, Ruffian, and then the Peter Pan that prep for the Belmont at Saratoga late into the evening. Our coverage tomorrow starts at 12:30 Eastern time, but we have round 2 still coming up. So before you think about tomorrow with us, we're going to take a little half-hour break. We're back from 3 to 5:30 Eastern, part 2 of our coverage that will include the late Pick 5 and this Pick 6 carryover. If you do want to get involved, 22,000 plus coming up in about 6 minutes or so. You can play it, of course. Get involved at NyraBets.com. We'll see you in about 30 minutes. Part of that sequence, Chileno. Looks like potentially a 2-horse race in that 7th. Chileno, 2 starts back. Just a huge performance for trainer Brad Cox. Manny Franco was aboard that day. He'll be back aboard today. Certified Lover Boy went gate to wire on a muddy sealed track. His most recent effort, as Acacia brought up, can he get the distance? That's the question with him. And noted, he beat Dornick early on the dirt in a stake last year. Stay with us.
on the afternoon. Stand by for prices when race 4 goes official. Pick 6 is underway. The double 3, 8, 17, 50. Pick 3, 21:30. Running time, 1:36.45. Up next is race 5, today's 5th. 24 minutes away. A race 5. Late pick 5 is next. All set. And they're off. Serendipity breaks well. Same can be said for Capturing, and Cat Chat is going to be right off of them. It's Serendipity, who's a nose in front. Not going anywhere is Capturing, and the front two will duke it out early as they get set to come out of the chute. It's Serendipity to the inside, followed by Capturing. These two are head and head, and that's the top duo. Cat Chat will be the trailer, is already about 7 lengths, almost 8 off the traveling pair. 22.88 for the opening quarter mile. Serendipity trying to shake loose. Serendipity is in front, is up by 3/4 of a length. Capturing is right there, is just stalking the pace setter, and just sitting behind them is Cat Chat, is now trying to close into the margin as Serendipity and Joel Rosario will take them into the far turn. Less than 4 furlongs to go, 45.68 for a half-mile time. Serendipity starts to get away from Capturing a little bit. Nibbling along there is Capturing, is still trying to keep up, but is losing touch with Serendipity, and Cat Chat starts to roll from the back. Cat Chat with the momentum is ready to challenge Capturing. Serendipity still there. It is Serendipity who's got the lead. Serendipity turns it for home, reaches the top of the stretch, still well clear. Serendipity, Cat Chat is the main danger. Cat Chat down the center of the racetrack is coming after Serendipity. Serendipity's got to find a final furlong. Cat Chat, they're very far apart, and Cat Chat starts to roll. Cat Chat is trying to take the lead inside the final 16th. Serendipity had the lead, dueled, and it was a perfect setup for Cat Chat. to get the win. Cat Chat wins it over Serendipity, then came Capturing in 1 minute 36.45 seconds.
Introducing Peace and Justice, new to New York in 2025. A proven sire with 200 winners, 16% winners lifetime, and one of only 2 New York-based stallions to have a graded stakes winner at Saratoga in 2024. Now, with 3 different racing surfaces coming to New York, and with New York breds running for equal purses as open company, Peace and Justice is the sure choice for 2025. Peace and Justice, now standing at Irish Hill and Duchess View Stallions in New York.
New York breds. Race them.
Respect them.
Bet them.
Respect them.
Breed them.
Respect them.
Buy them.
Respect them.
Train them for a second career.
Respect them.
Join us in respecting thoroughbreds at every stage of life. Learn more at nybreds.com.
Pandagate has now taken the lead and quickly opens up here. Pandagate with a quick burst really handled this field, won by 7 or 8 lengths at the end.
Welcome to Adelphi Racing Club's unparalleled partnership experience. Exclusive access to the backstretch at Belmont and Saratoga, premier accommodations on race day, and of course, experience excitement like no other. Contact us today to get a taste of the Adelphi difference.
Horses stepping on the track here for today's fifth race. Race 5. Start of the late pick 5. 6 minutes away. 6.5 furlongs. Race 5. 6 minutes.
Welcome to America's Day at the Races, round 2. Here we go on our Fox Sports 2 coverage. Live look at South Ozone Park, New York, as we get set for the late pick 5 coming up here on our Friday coverage. Greg Wolf, New York Racing Association handicapper, Andy Serling, Acacia Clement. Can we just try and get along for the next 2.5 hours?
Well, I had no problem with Acacia. You're a bit of a problem, but I'll try to work on it. I'll work on it. I'll do my best.
Late pick 5 coming up in just 2 minutes here. We have a 6-5 favorite, a little unexpectedly here on the outside in the 7, Despo's Dream.
I think one of the weird things about this race, Acacia, is the incredible lack of speed.
Yes.
Even dirt horses don't have speed anymore, and I think we're both caught a little off guard at Despo's Dream being 6-5, 9-2 morning line. A weird board.
It is very odd. I had this horse in second, thinking that she fit, going back down to the level that I think she belongs. Won the non-winners of 2 condition, 2 back for 16,000. However, I really thought that Lady Arwen, Antonio Arriaga's barn has been hot. Another one dropping back down to a level at which she belongs, and at least she is one that has the ability to be a little bit more forward.
It's so hard to know. It's a rider's race. Any of the 3, 5, and 6 can be forward. Kendrick's looking for another win. Maybe she's a Bernardini will be aggressively ridden.
Let's bring in Maggie Wolfendale as we get set for the load.
Excellent segue, Andy. Thank you. As that she will be my pick in here, number 5. She's a Bernardini. Kendrick didn't waste any time giving this mare a big old warm up, and she was the one that just caught my eye coming into the paddock as she'll change barns and make her first start for Michelle Nevin. She just came in with this air of confidence and ease and happy, and just a happy filly too. As she just also looks great, is moving incredibly well over this surface. So look for Kendrick to hopefully be aggressive in here and take advantage of the dearth of speed in this affair. Now, number 6 looks first. If she can get out of the gate, she at times has shown the ability to be forwardly placed. Now, she is one that I haven't seen in her last 2, but going back to March 15th, she was incredibly washy and just a nervous wreck. Now, she came in with the hood on, and it seemed to have done the job, as she is a lot more calm today and physically looks great. Is this a good sign? I don't know. I haven't seen her in her last 2, but she's one that, at least from the last time I saw her, has taken a move forward, and she's the longest shot on the board, Greg.
All right, so making a case for a couple of big prices here.
I think the course that's catching all of us off guard a little bit, and I don't know what price she was on the morning line,
3 to
is
1.
Foxy Cara. She was 3 to 1, so the morning line maker had it right. I'm just a little bit surprised. Now, listen, I could never guess how these races are going to be bet. I guess they're betting on the trainer change. I don't know. Why should that be so great?
I probably figured Irad Ortiz Jr. was going to take money.
Sorry about that.
I don't think that really equates to her chances, though, in this race, does it?
No, and she has no early speed.
Yeah, I once again, I mean, I don't think this is a race where you want to take a big position. I think looks first, the 6 is a little bit tough to make. After that, Dolce Cerro, I picked second. She's 11 to 1 in this race. She's not a winning type, but I don't know that she doesn't have a chance. And her trainer, Eddie DeLauro, is having a terrific year so far with a very small number of starters.
Yeah, I thought she was interesting, too. There she is, 11 to 1, cutting back in distance. Joel Rosario, 9 to 5 favorite, though, was as short at one time as even money. Despo's Dream on the outside. Ruben Silvera, the 7. Set for this late pick 5. You see that pull, 124,000. And growing here, you can play it through Naira Bets. Good luck. Here we go. Let's set it upstairs. Chris Griffin to get us started.
First, and Despo's Dream. Despo's Dream. Ruben Silvera, Despo's Dream to the outside. And in. All set. And they're off. Speed from looks first towards the outside is right there with Karen's Honor. They're the quickest. Karen's Honor now with the head in front. Just off of her is going to be looks first, who's a stalking presence from second. Out wider, Despo's Dream is a shared third. Big group in that second pack is at the rail. Here comes Foxy Cara, trying to hold that position with Lady Arwen, who's in that mix, and she's a Bernardini. The lone trailer, Dulce Seta, Joel Rosario, they're content to sit at the back end through a 22.72 opening quarter mile. The leader is Karen's Honor, who's got pressure from looks first, and these two continue to go at it up front. It's a pace duel, and they work into that turn, and here comes looks first to the outside to put a nose in front. Karen's Honor is now back half length in second. Here comes the run from Despo's Dream. Quickly moving to the outside with She's a Bernardini is trying to rally on but wide, and also Lady Arwen's trying to run on. Foxy Cara's lost ground, and Dulce Seta far back the trailer. They reach the top of the stretch, and looks first has got the lead. Looks first is in front. Here comes Despo's Dream, is fully in pursuit, is starting to get closer to this leader. Dulce Seta's rolling on the grandstand side, a furlong left to go. The leader is still looks first. Down at the rail, Karen's Honor battling on Despo's Dream. But now with the 16th left, looks first is still in front. And looks first is 14 to 1. That's your winner. Looks first wins it over Despo's Dream. Dulce Seta's in a photo with Karen's Honor. in 1 minute 16.76 seconds.
And the biggest price on the board gets the win here to start off this late pick 5.
Impressive job by me saying she was the only horse in the race that didn't make much sense. Well, I don't know where her form has been since claimed away from Linda, but she did drop down, so that clearly helped, and this horse was forwardly placed, and I don't think we have the same kind of speed tracking we've been having, but being forward here didn't hurt. This is going to blow up the pick 6.
Yeah, and good call by Maggie, who said that she looked good prior to the race, and she broke on top, this horse, and I do think her being forwardly placed made a big difference. Despo's Dream checking in second, but a lot of no-shows in this race as well.
I agree with you. A lot of horses didn't show up at all.
6, 7, 3, 4, 14 to 1. That might play even bigger than that in terms of this pick 6 and late pick 5.
I mean, this is the kind of horse that's not on many tickets where they didn't use all in some respect.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Tough one to make here.
Didn't
Good
even
call, though, Maggie.
Yeah, didn't even expect to. I guess could have been forward, but as you mentioned, broke so well.
Yeah.
Really helped her chances, and just a lot of no-shows.
So looks first, third career win at 14 to 1. Big upset to start the late pick 5. We're going to take a timeout. This is just around the corner. Coming up tomorrow, opening day at the Jersey Shore. Lafitte Pinkai, Jonathan Kinchin, Paula Duca will be on site with live coverage. Stay tuned.
Watchtower coming at Maduro. Maduro, Watchtower. Watchtower got her.
DeMarchelier, standing at Claiborne Farm.
Back on our Friday coverage here. Live look at South Ozone Park, New York here at Aqueduct Racetrack. Program brought to you in part by legendary Claiborne Farm. 100 years of doing the usual. Unusually well. This man here, Favino Villapino, just had his first North American winner earlier in February.
He's going to be known as a pick 6 killer with a race like that. It's funny, you know, I don't think the first winner was 2 to 1 in the pick 6 in the sequence. The off the turf race, a surprising horse. I think we both thought was going to be favored. But this is a heck of a start to pick 6. If you're alive, good luck.
Absolutely.
Pick 5 too, because this is quite a start.
Hope you can make it through the rest of the sequence if you had that one. Tough to make on paper. But yeah, I think we really saw when she broke so well that she was going to run well today.
Race 6 starts at pick 4. Meant for the turf, moved to the main track, 6 furlongs, sprinting now in a very compact field. You have both halves of the entry that are dangerous, but then you have Majestic Return, the 9, a main track only on some speed.
Yeah, I think the entry will end up being the favorite. They can't avoid the old 2 for the price of 1. And they both can win. It's not like they're both contenders here, and it's kind of a 3-horse race. I mean, it's hard to make cases for the other 2 that left in here. Majestic Return, though, should be tough to catch in the front end.
I think her speed makes her dangerous, as Kendrick Carmouche looking for his 3rd win today as well. With the entry, you do have one that's more of a deep closer and one that can be a little bit more forwardly placed, but they're both coming off less than stellar performances.
Get back to this race in a moment. Again, it starts at pick 4. As we told you going to break, tomorrow, opening day, out at the Jersey Shore at Monmouth Park. Some of the key dates, got the Naira Bets Pegasus, June 14th. Haskell and United Nations, June 19th. And Long Branch, part of that opening day coverage, tomorrow at 1 mile and 70 yards for 3-year-olds. That includes Lordship.
He is going to run there as opposed to Peter Pan, as is Catherine Wheel on Sunday, I believe, at the stake.
Okay. And we have Pascaline on the outside, who started out 2 for 2 and suffered his first defeat in the Bayshore.
I guess the question with Pascaline, Keisha, is how comfortable you are with him getting a mile and a 16th. He got a mile at Laurel around 1 turn as a 2-year-old, so you have to think this shouldn't be a big problem for him.
I think that's a very good question. He ran a respectable 3rd in the Bayshore behind Moplex and Faster Gator, who put on quite a good show there. But this is a horse that looks like he has some ability. And he was also coming in off of a layoff and coming back to the Bayshore, running well that day. I do agree that the question mark is the distance as he stretches out, but he did seem to improve in his 2nd start when he got a little bit more ground.
Yeah, he feels like the one to beat. The horse inside him, Kentucky Outlaw, doesn't seem bad. We'll see what Lordship can do off the maiden win. And I guess even Cool Intentions clearly getting a little class relief after being heavily overmatched at over 50-1 in the Florida Derby.
A much better spot for him. And how about Pascaline, West Virginia bred?
Yeah.
I have a friend who recently went to Mountaineer.
I know.
Yeah, he had a big experience.
Did well
Great.
there.
He won a lot of money, and yeah, he had a big winning day.
I heard.
Yeah.
Serena's song, when I say that to you, what's the first thing that comes to mind?
I mean, just her incredible talent. She was a brilliantly talented horse, winning the Beldame here, but, you know, this horse that fought Flanders to the finish in the Breeders' Cup Juvenile Fillies. She won the Haskell as a 3-year-old against the boys.
First filly ever to win the Haskell.
Is that right?
17 graded stakes, 11 grade 1s.
I think this is Heavenly. Is this Heavenly Prize that she's beating in that race?
Dwayne Lucas went, Bob Lewis, the late Bob Lewis, had the winning bid on this filly. Dwayne Lucas turned to him and said, "You just bought the most athletic yearling I think I've ever seen." Filly.
She had a remarkable career. Remember her getting beaten at the wire in the Whitney as a 4-year-old against Mahogany Hall. She was, I mean, look at that record, Acacia. And she danced every dance and then some that she wasn't even invited to.
And she's still alive at the age of 36. She's
one of
at
the-
Denali Farm in Kentucky, and I know they still call her the Queen of Denali. And I mean, she's just an absolutely remarkable mare.
I think our friend Rob saw her, our racing secretary here, Rob McLennan. I think that he
I
saw her at Denali.
I got a chance to walk her actually.
Really?
Okay, filming a video for America's Best Racing.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it was super cool.
Yeah, she was. I mean, she's a little before your time in racing,
Yeah, but so much respect
she was incredible. I mean, she really was a legitimate great, an all-time great. She really was.
Well, Serena's song coming up on Sunday coverage at Monmouth, and the Alabama winner from last year, Power Squeeze, Even Money, Morning Line for Jorge Delgado.
Yeah, and Catherine Wheel, Morning Match, all those horses there entered. I think another one maybe entered in the Ruffian tomorrow, I imagine they will opt to run there. The good power squeeze may be too good for these, though.
I mean, she is the Grade 1 winner in this field, coming in off of a second-place finish, facing the boys once again in the Go Sapper last time behind White Abario. I mean, she gets back in against fillies. She won the Alabama last year. They certainly have been bold with her coming back as a 4-year-old. Her 2 races against males, including that second in the Go Sapper. She's got a lot of talent and certainly can handle any distance.
Aggressive placing first 2 starts back.
Yeah, I'm not quite sure why, because they've got so many other races for fillies and mares down there. I mean, I guess you took a shot. I guess you took a shot in the Pegasus, but the Go Sapper seemed like a very, very tough spot.
Yes. Anytime you have to run against White Abario is a tough spot, I think.
Yes.
Well, pretty good accounting of herself, running second, although a distant second. She'll get back in against her own in the Serena Song. That's race 5 on the Sunday card as we look forward to opening weekend coming up in Monmouth.
Yeah, and we're going to have a nice crew down there in Monmouth. You've been to Monmouth, I assume.
Yes, I love Monmouth.
Yeah, nice track.
It really is. It's a really fun track. It has a great atmosphere. The Paddock is so much fun. So looking forward to having racing from there again.
Yep. Going to get back to our live action here in New York. It's becoming a story, right, at this point. Linda Rice, winless at the meet.
Her career may be over. She probably should retire and find something else to do with herself.
Well, she's got a big chance to put that to an end here coming up with the odds-on entry. Stay with us.
Charge It is pouring it on, winning the Dwyer by the length of the stretch. Charge It wins it convincingly in this Grade 2 Suburban.
Horse racing? Check. Weekly promotions? Got 'em. Huge payouts? You bet. With Naira Bets. Download the app today and bet on any track, anywhere, anytime with live HD horse races, betting tips and tutorials, expert picks, and more. You bet with Naira Bets. Join now for a new member bonus at NairaBets.com.
Justify comes roaring home. He's just immortal. Justify is the 13th Triple Crown winner.
An Arabian Lion claws to the front here. Arabian Lion to win the Grade 1 Woody Stevens. One minute, 21 and 3/5 seconds.
Live racing returns to Monmouth Park Saturday, May 10th with a 12:50 first post. Our 50-day summer season features a stakes race every Saturday and Sunday, plus a new middle pick 5, joining the win early pick 5 on our wagering menu. With growing pools and field sizes, Monmouth Park is your summer place to profit. Joining us on site, lock in your odds with fixed odds wagering at Monmouth Park Racetrack.
In the morning and train horses that I'm excited about running. That's what drives me. Winning races, whether it be a claiming race or a stakes race or a Grade 1 at Saratoga, it's so much more fun than losing. Okay guys, Jose, I'm ready for the first one. Go ahead. We're going from the half up 5/8. My father, he was a hard worker, and he was very ambitious, instilled a strong work ethic in my 3 brothers and myself, and he had a love for the horses his whole life, and he instilled that in us as well.
It's double booked in front.
My first good horse was a horse named Double Booked, a grass horse, when I started training at Monmouth Park, and a filly of my father's named Ready Jack Go. But I would say that City Zip was a very good 2-year-old. I brought him here. He won all 3 2-year-old stakes here.
It's City Zip in front of the 16th. City Zip by 3.
He would be the horse that really helped move me along the path that I am on now. He's gonna win at Belmont. I like to claim a lot of young horses. with lightly raced horses that I think have both potential on their pedigree side and, of course, conformation. So that's been a big asset to my claiming, which has been probably in the last 5 years I've been doing more of.
Voodoo Song digs in. Is he going to do it? He is! Voodoo Song with a 4-star Dave!
New York racing is, frankly, it's my home. I've been here for quite a few years. I have gone from a young trainer that was struggling to climb the ladder to being a mainstay in New York. And I think by not diluting my business at different venues, I think it's been helpful for me to be successful right here in New York. I'm all about New York racing. My father always said, well, he didn't want to die in a harness. And I think about that sometimes, but I don't know what my day would be like if I didn't have horses to train or to be around or to be excited about. Linda Rice. I'd like them to say she was one hell of a horse trainer, and she earned it.
Well, Linda Rice has proven it time and time again that she is one hell of a horse trainer, one of the absolute best on this circuit and in the game.
She's racing obsessed, and I think that's one of the things I love about racing is the high percentage of people you work with that are obsessed by racing, and it's something that to succeed at it, you better be.
You have to. It's long hours. There are far more disappointments and bad news when it comes to horses than there are good news and big wins, and that's why I have to appreciate and celebrate all the wins regardless of the level. And Linda is very crafty. She's very sharp claiming horses. She did so well claiming horses in Kentucky, Andy. They had to change the rule because she had so much success with it, but she's very sharp and she studies everything really well, which I think is a huge piece of it as well. You have to manage your horses and place them in the right spots.
And one of those successful claims, not in Kentucky, but here in New York, will be running for Linda tomorrow in the John A. Nehrude Surveillance. She has already made money on this horse off a $62,000 claim, and this horse overall for his career over $1 million in earnings.
Yeah, I mean, listen, everybody that makes claims is going to make some bad claims. You can't be successful claiming unless occasionally you get ones that aren't good. But she's also had some tremendous claims, and not just Surveillance, who obviously has worked out incredibly well, as you pointed out, already making back the 62.5, but you think about Palace, who she claimed, winning grade ones, and she has had many, many great claims over the years. Sheriff Bianco.
Yeah, very good claim.
Of course, she didn't know at the time he was a dirt horse, but neither did Wesley Ward, who had it before.
Surveillance, an 11-time winner. 4-1 morning line. Kendrick Carmouche will be aboard. That's race 7 on that Saturday card, but couple of big names going to have to try and turn the tables against what you're talking about, and then Full Moon Madness, who's gotten the better of Surveillance on a couple of occasions.
Full Moon Madness has the stakes for him. What you're talking about ran like he could be a Breeders' Cup horse in his last race. I don't know where it came from. He was entered at Oaklawn a few weeks ago, and he shows up here. Who knows what we'll get from him, but his last was huge.
I'm looking forward to seeing Anarchist, too. He ran really well behind Booth in the Count Fleet last time.
Yeah, I picked him. He's got some good races.
Mm-hmm. Well, here's part of the entry for Linda Rice coming up in the 6th race here. All Class, she'll have the inside-outside entry here. Serrera on the outside, All Class on the inside. What do you make of the entry?
I prefer the 1A. I don't know if you're more neutral, Acacia, because I thought she had more speed and would be stalking outside Majestic Return. I think we both, though, prefer Majestic Return.
I do. I prefer Majestic Return, who I think should be forward with Kendrick as far as the entry's concerned. Yes, Serrera has the ability to be a bit more forwardly placed. It's just, she seems like she has that one race in January with the 82 buyer speed figure. And beyond that, she's kind of a run in place right there type of horse. Now, the entry mate, All Class, is coming off of a bad performance, and she is one that does tend to come from far off of it, but at least she has a little bit more consistency overall. I think a lot of it depends on the tactics play out in here.
Here's Majestic Return, 7-5 right now. Main track only entrant, Michelle Giangiulio, Kendrick Carmouche, 10 Strike Racing. This team,
I have to drink.
10 Strike, I said?
We have to drink every time.
Oh, every time we say 10 Strike.
Someone says 10 Strike.
Yeah. Seafoam.
Are you drinking right now?
Got you a couple extras
Dr.
of
Pepper, but it's not really having the needed effect.
This group teamed up with Seafoam, 2021 Evan Shipman, and that was a first career stakes win for Michelle Giangiulio. And there's Acacia right there, part of the moment.
She was particularly excited to
That
see
was a
Seafoom won.
great
considering
moment
who
we
used
had
to
on our
train him.
show.
Yes, it was.
It was a very special moment for Michelle.
Not so special for Keisha. Seafoam was originally trained by Christophe Coman.
Yeah. Yes, but look, I mean, I remember when he was claimed and I was saying, look, he's worth it. He's an incredibly consistent, very, very cool horse, and Michelle did very well with him. And actually ran into Marshall from 10 Strike at Oakland on my last trip, and Seafoam is standing as a stallion in Arkansas.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow, I look forward to those Seafoam showing up.
Well, what do you? You've talked about, obviously, the speed is the weapon here.
I think this
with Majestic Return.
I think Majestic Return's a horse that's a little better than it looks. Been in some very tough spots. Last time got just ridden to the ground by the eventual winner of the race, who had never run particularly well and sort of beat her that way. She's supposed to be faster than these horses, and today is the day for her to get it done. She really kind of needs to win today, you know?
She does. And she is now third off a layoff as well, which I think is going to be key for her. Prior to that, she was running a New York bred stakes company. She was just running against tough competition. And then last time, as Andy mentioned, I mean, she had pressure the entire way. Caress, who, not that Caress, but Caress, the winner of this race, just all of a sudden had this huge performance and showed so much speed in this effort. And while Majestic Return was down on the inside, tried to stick in there late, she wasn't able to sustain it with all that pressure that she took.
Yeah, no, it was a surprising. I had liked her that day, and you know, listen, she got beaten fair and square. I mean, I remember thinking, why is this ridiculous long shot dueling me in the ground? But when she ends up winning the race, it's like, okay, well, she won. She's got to get it done today. She's just not that she has to win this race, but if she can't be successful in a spot like this, how much easier is it going to get for her?
You got a tough entry to deal with. But
yeah, but she's a dirt horse they're dirt horses too, but she is supposed to just be faster than these. And you have to think that Kendrick is just going to look to send her and let him play come and catch me. She's quick.
Here's the first half of that Linda Rice entry, who has the all class, Eric Cancel.
No, it's a good complimentary entry. Even though she's so speed in the past, I don't think she's going to be part of the pace.
Stablemate with that outside post with Jose Lezcano.
She figures to be the one putting more pressure on the 9 if she can.
13 red flags if we stay in order. And yes, there she is for Mirsha Shockley.
She has been running on the dirt, though has not been showing much lately. Does cut back in distance.
I think the cutback at least helps her a little bit. Whether it matters or not remains to be seen.
Staying in first on dirt. She's in a mood.
There is actually dirt pedigree on the bottom side. Second dam was a decent dirt sprinter. We'll see what this one can do handling the main track.
And there's Kendra Carmouche in those 10 Strike Racing Silks Majestic Return.
Now, keep in mind, she does not draw the far outside. The 1A is outside of her, but nonetheless, I think she's the horse to beat, and the entry is getting bet as more of a 2-for-1 proposition.
Indeed. 4 to 5 odds on now as Linda Rice tries to get this first win of the meet as we go down to Maggie.
It's going to come, and it's going to come soon. She just has the numbers to win races as we are taking a look at all class here. First on my end, as we see her getting a nice warm-up with Eric Cancel aboard. But as the team upstairs has addressed, she feels like the one that's going to be coming from much further off of it, and you pick that up when observing these two horses, together. In that all class, a lot more laid back, is a bit weaker through her hind end as well, and it's something I don't necessarily love. And furthermore, it feels as though her form's kind of going in the wrong direction. But to be fair, in her races 2, 3, 4 back, she was beaten by horses that are in really good form, including Sunday Girl, Striker Has Dial, and On Command, who won the turf stake here earlier this week. But I do prefer the looks, at least, of her entry mate, who was entered as an MTO, and here's Sheree, just because, as her form would suggest, she's very forward, she's engaged, she's striding out incredibly well, very energetic with Jose Lezcano aboard in the warm-up too. And I just prefer horses that aren't going to have to make up as much ground. So do prefer Sheree, but ultimately I'm going to land somewhere else, as we do need to discuss the elephant in the room, and that is the horse who's never been on dirt before. As you heard Acacia say, number 6, She's in a Mood, does have some pedigree to handle it. She's by Unified. While there isn't much pedigree in the immediate family, the second dam, she did win a dirt sprint. But I wrote in my notes first time out with this filly, looks like a total turf sprinter. I still think that. I just think she looks really turf meant overall, and she's going to have to get faster on the dirt to be competitive here. So her at 9-2. No, thank you, as I will take number 9 in here. That is Majestic Return, third off of the layoff. She's a big, heavy mare. And as I often talk about with these horses that start to get up there in age, sometimes it just takes them a little longer to find that fitness, to find that form again. She is sharp. She has been on the muscle throughout the preliminaries here, and she's so muscle bound. She carries a lot of conditioning. Sometimes you just need some racing to mold that all into racehorse fitness. So I think third off the bench here for Michelle Giangulio. She's primed and ready to do so in a bit of a softer spot too, Greg.
Maggie, thank you. The 9 has become even money along with the entry, who is slightly favored right now.
It's a funny situation because the reason when I say like the 9 is the worst to beat, it's because hopefully very soon we're going to have no more entries. And if you like the 1, you get the 1. You like the 1A, you get the 1A. The 9 would be favored in this race if there was no entry because she's taking that money on her own and the other 2 are taking it together. And they both can win. Yeah. Both have the entry.
This is a horse, Majestic Return. Remember when she ran last time, we talked about her race last year back in April of 2024, which was her last dirt race of last year. That was not in stakes company, and she ran arguably one of the best races of her career that day as she was part of a pace duel and stuck around to finish third. Then they tried the turf. Then they went into New York Bred Stakes Company. Then she had the layoff. I feel like today's the day that she's supposed to get back to that top form.
I agree, and that's really, you laid out the exact case of why I liked her last time because of all the things that you said, and I agree with all of them. And this horse that has run fast races in the past, that's why I say today is the day she needs to get it done. I mean, she's getting an off-the-turf race where she is, on paper, really the controlling speed. So unless Sheree goes into it, and we got to figure out where Sheree's name comes from and what exactly, because we were looking it up on Google, and there's a number of different things. But you're claiming the dam SWAC that is sealed with a kiss, but that has nothing to do.
That's according to Google as well.
But that has nothing to do with what Sheree means, which is
Russia?
There is either a place in Russia, it was a Libyan oil field, or it's an armored vehicle in Iran.
It could be anything.
Kind of
By the way, the 9 has become the 3-5 favorite, while you two are talking about what Sheree means.
We're a little busy here, Greg.
No, this is,
stop interrupting.
I like that you're getting to the bottom of it. But in terms of the pick 3, the entry is a massive, massive favorite. And in the double, the same case as well.
Yeah, that's, for people that, and Greg knows this, but people don't understand, there's a very limited, if any, CAW play in the win pools here. So the win pool, I would compare the win pools here in some ways to the win pool in the Kentucky Derby. And that's why I think a lot of people were surprised when the exact in the Derby with a horse that was, what did he pay, about 7 or 8 to 1 the winner?
7 to 1.
7 to 1 the winner, yeah.
Over a 3 and change to 1 shot in a 19-horse field, only paid $48. It's because they were the clear-cut, heavy favorite and second choice in every pool but the win pool. Journalism was 2 to 1 in every pool you looked at. The winner of the race, Sovereignty, was 5 to 1 in the clear-cut second choice. So the exactas and the tries, they're going to reflect that much more in the win pool. And that's the same thing that happens here because of the lack of CAW play in our win pools. And that's why you hear you hear people pointing out when exactas seemingly pay low. You don't hear it when they seemingly pay high, when the CWs don't get it right. But in general, the other thing about CWs getting it right, what they're doing in general is they're moving the board to where they feel the odds should be. And they're highly sophisticated computer programs that are pretty accurate.
So 3-5, Kenner Carmouche, Majestic Return for trainer Michelle Giangulio. Entry at even money in here. With that inside-outside duo for Linda Rice of All Class and Sheree.
I guess the mathematics work out. I understand that this is an unusual entry where they're no worse than the clear second and third choices to win this race. Often it's one sort of mediocre horse and one stronger horse. In this case, I think the 1A's taking a little more money, but they would both be taking money on their own.
And they have complementary running styles as well. One's going to be a little bit more forward, and one is a deep closer. So that is kind of one of the benefits of entries for the horsemen that are sending them out, is that you have kind of the bases covered. Now, of course, hopefully we will not have entries anymore, and bettors will be able to zero in on the horses that they do actually prefer.
That will be a great day.
Yes.
The biggest price on the board, 13 red flags, actually took a little bit of time away last summer. It came back and actually started going in a pretty positive direction. But last couple of starts, last 3 starts probably, has sort of gone backwards.
Yeah, I agree with Andy. I do think shorter is better for her as far as the better races that she's run. But yes, her last couple leave a lot to be desired.
4 to 5 on this 9-horse right here. Kendrick Carmouche in those 10-strike racing silks. We're set for race 6. Let's go to Chris Griffin for the call.
In. Less to load. It goes in. All set. And they're off. Speed from in between horses. Majestic Return. Quickly out to the front. It's Majestic Return, who's up by a half length. Sarir is in pursuit, is out in the center of the racetrack. They are well off the rail. She's in a Mood, is alone in third, about to be joined by 13 red flags and the early trailer. All Class. They work up the backstretch, and Majestic Return is trying to shake loose. Majestic Return is hounded towards the outside 3. 22.26 opening quarter mile with Sarir, who's within range, and they're still well off the rail. Chasing his 13 red flags. Is challenging for third, is to the outside. She's in a Mood, and All Class has been sitting at the back end of the field, is now in pursuit. And here comes All Class, who's on the move, is ranging up on the outside. The leader is Majestic Return. Majestic Return is in front. Still up by a half length, reaches the top of the stretch. The one that catches the eye is All Class, who's motoring down the center of the racetrack. Sarir is in between horses. These 3 across the racetrack. Sarir is finding some more. Sarir towards the inside. Here comes All Class to the outside. They travel as a pair, and now All Class is edging in front. It's All Class who's opening up late. Sarir back to second. Late run here, 13 red flags and Majestic Return, but give it to All Class to win it. All Class over Sarir, then came 13 red flags. Majestic Return. She's in a Mood in 1 minute 11 seconds flat.
We knew it wouldn't last long, and Linda Rice gets that first winner of the meet. Many more to come. All Class with the victory. Eric Cancel aboard.
So Linda's career is not over. But
No one
Majestic
suggested
Return,
that.
on the other hand, I know, I'm joking. Majestic Return, on the other hand, I mean, if she couldn't be competitive here, and this entry just, once the 9 didn't run well, they had to be 1-2.
Absolutely. It did seem that this race was kind of gift wrapped for Majestic Return, who was able to get the lead, and then she ended up fading late in the stretch as it was All Class, the closer of the entry, who came rolling late. Eric Cancel aboard, able to run down her stablemate. I like how Chris says it.
He's probably right.
Very good about.
Does he know where it's from?
He looks into just about all of these to try and find out the proper pronunciations.
Do I need to work on my? What do they speak in Libya? Do they speak? What do they? You know, they speak Iran. What do they speak Iranian? What do they speak in Libya?
We should stop this conversation now.
Well, I'm just wondering because we haven't even figured out where the name comes from officially.
Our research is not better than yours. Thank you, Andy, for pointing that out for us. 4 to 5 on the entry here in race 6.
Yeah, they ended up going off the favorite. The 9 was also 4 to 5, but the entry was favored, and 13 red flags checking in there at 22 to 1.
So it's All Class. Linda Rice owned and trained with Eric Cancel. Talk 3-year-old division when we come back. Sovereignty right at the top after that victory in the Kentucky Derby. He'll skip the Preakness, wait for the Belmont, and another one will as well. We'll have that story when we come back.
The Big Cap, as it has come to be known, is the jewel in the crown of California racing, as some of the all-time greats have showcased their brilliance in the shadow of the San Gabriel Mountains.
Locked is let loose, and he moves to the front with a furlong left to go, and it's lights out. He's pouring it on, but it's all about Locked, and Jose Ortiz dominating the Big Cap, cruising home to an effortless 8-length romp.
with Marvelous Mud.
Back on our Friday coverage here on America's Day of the Races on Fox Sports 2. It's brought to you in part by Hillendale at Alapa. It's from Andy's iPod. All class.
iPod. Andy does still have an iPhone with a home screen button on it. So, yes.
I feel as though I'm being picked on here. I don't have an iPod anymore. I would, but mine broke.
Oh, yeah. That is old
Look,
school.
see the
that phone.
I like this one. I like the button.
$3.70 for the win on the entry.
I like the button.
By the way, Chris Griffin came in with Sarir, the name meaning. It is Arabic. Means bed or furniture. The dam, swag, sealed with a kiss. Is Sleeping Beauty vibes.
That would be Neuschwanstein, wouldn't it be?
Well, that's the name of the castle.
I know. It's all about Sleeping Beauty. It's amazing I have an iPhone. It's amazing I don't have a flip phone.
Mixito has a flip phone.
I know he does. I had a flip phone until Dave O'Rourke yelled at me for about a year and a half, and I finally got an iPhone. I miss my flip phone.
7th at Belmont, our feature, mile 3/16, allowance optional claiming field in this race centering around Certified Lover Boy and Chileno.
Yeah, I mean, unless you want to make a case for Michael Licious, who's taking a lot of money, all the Mikes out there, I guess, betting, but Certified Lover Boy is, if nothing else, the one to catch, has to get the mile in 3/16.
Yeah, that was my thought as well. He's going to be on the lead. The big question is, can he sustain that speed through the distance?
Well, two of us up here came up with the exact in the Kentucky Derby. You like two?
Greg said at the top of the show he wanted everybody to get along, and then he's
Sovereignty. You're really on your game today. I'm kind of impressed, to be honest with you. I like journalism.
Okay. Who ran well?
Thank you for that. I appreciate that.
Sovereignty wins. That's 2 wins now in the Derby for Belmont. That's him arriving at Saratoga. He's going to skip the Preakness, line up next in the Belmont Stakes, as will another horse who unfortunately did not get to run in the Kentucky Derby. We'll get to in just a second.
Well, there's Irma Scott with Sovereignty as she was there greeting him. All smiles. Irma's the best if you go by the Belmont barn. And yeah, settled into Saratoga, which is where most of Bill's horses are based throughout the spring. That's where Bill himself is. I'm sure we'll keep a close watch on him leading into that Belmont
And he'll get the
Stakes
mile and a
Saratoga.
quarter again
Yep.
in the Belmont Stakes, for those that weren't thinking about it, but
No, he's a tremendous horse, and we don't know yet if journalism is going to run in the Preakness or wait for the Belmont as well. Paez is supposed to come back, so the possibility exists that all first 3 finishers. You going to pick them in the same order in the Belmont Stakes?
I will do my best. Yeah, I will do my best.
Because the pressure's on.
It's a once in a lifetime.
You're only as good as your last pick.
Right. Keisha's the one who actually broke the news to me that I hit the trifecta cold. As for journalism, decision I think expected to come if he will go in the Preakness on Monday.
He'd be way the worst to beat if he went to the Preakness, without a question. And, this 2-week thing, and listen, Belmont has earned the right to decide, as any of these top trainers have, whether to run his horse or not in the Preakness. It's not great for the game, let's be honest. I mean, it's not. You want the Derby winner to run the Preakness. We want to have a chance for a Triple Crown. A lot of people care about the Triple Crown. On the other hand, he has the right and has earned the right to make that choice and do what he feels is best for his horse. Horses, though, in history have come back that have won the Derby and run the Preakness. A lot of them have run the best races they've ever run, like Smarty Jones, Funny Side ran a huge race. So there's not a lot of evidence you can't come back in 2 weeks and run well.
On that 2-week return, Bob Baffert bringing Goal-Oriented back 2 weeks after just the second start of his career to run in the Preakness as well. He thinks he's doing phenomenal, and he will line up for Bob Baffert.
That feels like an owner thing.
Well, also think about it. You have Cornucopian, who I know they had hoped to go, ran poorly, and Rodriguez, who unfortunately is out now.
A small foot bruise, had to scratch from the Kentucky Derby, and Bob Baffert just saying he didn't have the time to get him the way he wants him to be for the Preakness. So he will bring him back and says he'll be ready to go for the Belmont at Saratoga.
Belmont at Saratoga could be incredibly competitive if we see all of these horses coming back, and with their top efforts, it does change the Preakness, I think, with Rodriguez out, especially with the speed that he would bring to the party.
I imagine the Steve Asmussen horse will be forward in there, as well as American Promise. I think Wayne will try to go and see if he can duplicate his performance last year in winning this race with the long shot Seize the Gray.
Meanwhile, Baeza, who got into this field at the last moment, as an also eligible, and a horse who had looked so good and so promising with that runner-up finish behind Journalism in the Santa Anita Derby, planning on making his next start in the Belmont Stakes as well.
I think he was third best in the Derby. I thought an excellent ride by Flavien Prat. But to be fair, the other horses, the first two finishers saved ground the first turn, and he was wide. He's a lightly raced horse for a very good trainer, and I think he has an excellent chance to be as good, if not better, than any of these 3-year-olds as the year progresses.
Arrived back in California for John Sheriff, so he'll do his training at home and then come back to the East Coast for the Belmont Stakes, and we'll look forward to seeing him there. Of course, we've talked about the pedigree. His half-brother, Dornick, who won the Belmont Stakes at Saratoga last year, and of course Mage in the Derby the year before.
What a feat that would be to, getting to a Derby 3rd year in a row, but 3 years in a row having a triple.
Shouldn't he run the
crown
Preakness
event winner?
though? So because they've won the Belmont Derby, and he should do it for Puka.
Try and get the triple crown for her. You can be part of the action. Belmont at Saratoga. BelmontStakes.com/tickets is where you can get your tickets to be part of what was just an incredible week of racing, and we have an extra day this year.
Yep, kicking things off on Wednesday with the New York Breds. They'll have their day in their spot in the spotlight. I think it's a really fun way to kick off that week as well.
Which is your day off that week, Greg?
Day off.
Keisha and I are taking day off.
When?
Keisha's got Belmont day off. I'm taking Friday off. Yeah.
Did I get
You
kicked
didn't know
off
that?
the
Wow.
show?
I didn't know about this.
I just thought you wanted to take it off and enjoy the day. Listen, I'd like to have the day off.
We'll see who is going to be working on Belmont Day. Whoever wins this race, the Peter Pan, traditional prep for the Belmont. Todd Pletcher has won this race more than anyone. Oh, a couple of chances at it, but Captain Cook, see if he can rebound off that purple from to the Wood, the Withers winner.
And Rick Dutrow has 2 chances here as well. I think that McAfee is going to run a lot better than many will expect. Captain Cook's looking to bounce back. He tried to stalk Rodriguez last time, and that one kind of did him in. And he didn't finish as well as he had run prior to that. Maybe Rick gave him too much time in retrospect after his win in the Withers, which we're looking at here.
I think it's a good spot for him to come back. He's shown he can win at the mile and an eighth here at Aqueduct when he took the Withers. He was impressive breaking his maiden, and yes, trying to chase Rodriguez around. It was to no avail in the Wood Memorial, but he's a good horse, and I'll be interested to see if he can get back on track in this Peter Pan. This will be the real kind of key performance from him.
And he's supposed to be the speed in this race. You have to think that Manny Franco's looking to send out of the gate.
Let's bring in Maggie and
Did I talk about?
your thoughts on Captain Cook.
I was just about to ask the producer if I should talk about somebody else in here since you guys pretty much covered everything I want to say. But Captain Cook, the jury's still out. I know he won the Withers going this 9 furlongs, but you keep going back to his pedigree. A practical joke out of an Indian Charlie mare. Is 9 furlongs really his best gig? But maybe off of the 2-month layoff, he needed his last start. I didn't notice anything in the paddock that would suggest as such, but Rick Dutrow, in reading the comments that in the DRF articles, he's saying, I'm just taking one race at a time, and the thought did cross his mind of cutting him back, but he said, why not? For a 3-year-old that's shown on the racetrack, he can handle it, so why not give it another go here in this Peter Pan, which is shaping up to be a pretty interesting race, guys. I think there's some horses for Todd Pletcher looking for a 6th win in this Peter Pan that you could make a case for, so looking forward to the Peter Pan tomorrow, nearly evening.
Yeah, 6:46 Eastern start time for this Peter Pan. We're going to be here late. Chad Brown has Hill Road coming back, start number 2 of his 3-year-old campaign. A horse that was sort of a surprise 3rd place finisher of the Breeders' Cup Juvenile.
And Chad had told me that he really, and he had said this publicly, so it's not like some inside information, that he didn't really have him that cranked up when he ran the Tampa Bay Derby, and he was really optimistic about his chance in the Wood. Unfortunately, he spiked a fever and didn't get to run. The problem is, Acacia, there isn't much pace for a guy who doesn't have much speed.
No, and he tends to come from very far off of it. I saw him at Tampa when he ran in the Tampa Bay Derby, and he was a handful prior to the race. He was very, very tough to handle. And I wonder if it's kind of maybe it's a maturity thing as well, that he's kind of taking a little bit of time to come to hand, but he comes running late. I wonder if he needs a true setup and if he's going to get that this weekend.
I wonder about that as well, though. I think he is a big player in this race. As far as Captain Cook, I think the feeling probably is the Connections would obviously love to go to the Belmont Stakes. So you run him here to see if he can run the kind of race that suggests he can win it, but also he can always turn back to 7 furlongs for the Woody Stevens, a Grade 1 on Belmont Stakes Day, if he doesn't seem like a Belmont horse. So I think this race works in both manners for him. Is he good enough for the Belmont? And you know what? Turning back for the Woody Stevens, a race that Rick won turning back off of 2 days rest a number of years ago with Willie Beeman. So he's had success turning back. Maybe he needs to run him on that Wednesday. It's too bad he's not a New York bred, because Willie Beeman's a New York bred. Could run him Wednesday and then bring him back in the Woody.
That would be an aggressive turnaround, but he's done it before. As you said, Grade 3 Peter Pan late in the evening tomorrow. We hope you join us for our coverage. We're looking forward to this fantastic Saturday coming up. Let's go back down to Maggie Moore in the Peter Pan.
Wait, I just got to call Andy out here. He had a factoid wrong there. It was a King's Bishop, Andy, off the back of, I believe, the Albany that Willie Beeman won, not the Woody Stevens.
That is correct. Yes, it was the King's Bishop before we changed it to Alan Jerkins. Thank you. I'm just sort of numb from it because I bet the second place finisher.
You're
11
not
to 1.
over it yet.
And
I'm
Maggie,
not over,
please.
I'm not over
there's
a lot of stuff.
There is plenty that, besides that, Andy's gotten wrong on the show, so feel free to jump in anytime.
We should have like a little bubble in the corner of the screen that's pointing out the things I'm saying are wrong. Only if we could do it for everybody.
Yeah, I can be in the bubble. It would give me great pleasure to be in the bubble.
Yeah, only if we get to
Sounds
correct
good to me.
everybody on the show. So, believe it or not, I'm not the only person that's occasionally wrong on the show. Just the most often.
Thanks for setting that straight. We're going to take a timeout. We'll be back. Brad Cox with still the undefeated Kentucky Oaks winning filly, Good Cheer. And we're going to see him coming up in the next race. Maybe the one to beat. Chileno, Manny Franco, 6-year-old, trying to win for the 4th time in his career. Stay with us.
The champion 2-year-old. One of 4 champion 2-year-olds in his immediate family. Essential quality at 2. Undefeated.
Essential quality, though, has opened up by 5.
Devastating. His own first 2-year-olds race in 2025. If they're anything like him and you've got a mare in foal, just imagine.
It's America's original sport. And no one covers it better than americasbestracing.net. From the sport to the lifestyle, the best races, horses, and destination venues, cocktails, gambling, fashion, and more. americasbestracing.net is a sport for you.
McMahon of Saratoga Thoroughbreds, proudly standing 4-time champion New York sire Central Banker, sire of multiple stakes winner Bank Frenzy.
Now Bank Frenzy means business and he'll win the Haynesfield.
Also standing Salamini, sire of Grade 2 winner Winstock, and 7-time stake horse Doc Sullivan.
Doc Sullivan dominates the Mike Lee.
And Provocateur, the only Grade 1 son of Into Mischief standing in New York, half-brother to Wood Memorial winner Rodriguez. At McMahon of Saratoga Thoroughbreds, New York stallions that deliver.
Racetrack Television Network brings you every race, from every track, on every screen, every day. With monthly packages starting as low as $5, RTN gives you great value and access to more live HD streaming and race replays than anyone. Visit RTN.tv today to sign up and watch on almost any device, including Roku and Amazon Fire. RTN has packages that start at $5 per month.
Good Cheer and Ballerina Doro comes roaring up on the outside. Good Cheer now. Good Cheer has taken the lead as they come into the final furlong and is opening up late to a 3-length lead as they come down to the wire. It is going to be Good Cheer, the undefeated filly, to win the Kentucky Oaks.
I think a lot of us felt this was a much more wide open Kentucky Oaks going in, but Good Cheer had other ideas, and she remains undefeated now, 7 for 7 for Brad Cox.
And she was an hour the best in this race. I mean, you don't know if the wet track affected some others, but the horses behind her were picking up the pieces, Acacia, because she just broke the race open top of the stretch. She was good.
She was far and above the best horse in that race. Now 7 for 7, 3-year-old filly. And, you know, it's interesting looking at Brad Cox's embarrassment of riches. Seemed he had a very strong hand last year, even as well with the 2-year-old champion and Immersive, who unfortunately was sidelined and we never got to see
She's training again.
as a 3-year-old. But she is coming back, which is exciting. And yet Good Cheer was the one who just kept taking steps forward and part of Godolphin's Oaks Derby sweep.
And also the guineas, the 1,000 and 2,000 guineas over in Europe. Tremendous weekend for them. She's good, but I want to see what happens if the competition gets a little bit stiffer. If we go forward, shred the gnar.
Exciting prospect for Brian Lynch, 3-year-old filly. Well, this one for Brad Cox, far from undefeated, but major player and current favorite right now, this 3-time winner. The start 2 back, we'd never really seen it before. We didn't see it in the next start, but it was, I guess, telling of the kind of talent this horse has. What do you think we see today from Chileno?
I don't know. All I know is, well, we'll see what the price is, because if the Brad Cox horse gets bet off the board, I think they win around 99% of the time. So we'll see if this horse takes a lot more money.
Well, let's go back down to Maggie. What's Chileno showing you here in the paddock?
Well, he is that horse that is second off of a layoff, and if he can get back, like you guys said, to that race before it, he would be very tough to beat in this spot. But because he is that 6-year-old, maybe he just needed the last race a bit. I wasn't in the paddock, unfortunately, but the one thing I can say relative to what I've seen from him in his previous efforts is that he's a lot more energetic here, which I always interpret as a good sign. You know, you want them to have that good energy, that they're up for a challenge, up to get out there and do their thing on the racetrack. So he looks incredibly fit here. He's well muscled, he's strong. All things good for your favorite, as we'll see what he can do, though catching a wet track again and traveling this mile in 3/16. Now, a horse that I have a bit of a problem with, considering that distance, is number 5, Jackson Heights, because I feel like he is that horse that likes to drop way out of it, capitalize on a somewhat, honest pace, and be able to make that one late run, which you often get in the 1-turn miles, not so much going a 2-turn distance like this. But I've got to say, with Rob Atras at the helm, this guy has really turned into something else now as a 5-year-old. He's bigger, he's stronger than he ever was before. So we'll see what he can do here. At least physically, yes, he is made to handle this distance. I just don't know dynamically if it's really going to be in his best interest, Greg.
Maggie, thank you. Post parade here coming up in a moment. Certified Lover Boy Chileno, and then even good skate, dominating the wagering, but Mike Alicious right there as well. This board very evenly matched.
5-2 on Mike Alicious. I mean, no problem with the idea that he can win the race as a possible upsetter, but that's a little surprising, is it?
Incredibly surprising.
Feels like a horse you might want to like in here at 5-1 or so or something, but that's a short price. You see Ricardo Santana and trainer Carlos Martin. Getting Carlos been in a good run, but getting horse from Mike Maker is not easy.
Here comes our post parade. We'll start with Certified Lover Boy coming off a gate to wire win.
He's going to the front here. The question is, can he get the distance?
Chileno for Brad Cox. Manny Franco rides.
He's a little lukewarm on the board right now, as a lot of money just came in the 4, but I took him in here. Getting back to his race 2 back, he'll win.
This is incredibly surprising, too. 2-1 on good skate.
He's a short price right now. Did not fire last time out when going this distance. He did win when wiring the field 2 starts back for 50,000.
I wonder if a lot of the money is because of the muddy seal track.
Maybe.
You know, the wet track, the sloppy track.
I mean, he should be 3rd choice at best, shouldn't he?
I
Jackson Heights, 7-1.
He's just got absolutely no speed at all. He's the rank outsider here.
Yeah, Michael Licious probably starting to slowly float up.
Well, I thought he was a little bit of an interesting outsider. It's intriguing to see how much money he's taking, but with picking up Ricardo Santana, he was off slow last time. He got a little bit keen, kind of rushing up inside, and he did run on a little bit when Pirate wired the field. What kind of trip does he get? He can win at the distance. He's shown that before, but he will be one coming from off of it.
It's interesting. Go ahead. So I was going to say, look at the pick 3s. The pick 3s, the 3 is favored. The doubles, the 1 is a big favorite over the 3, but they are the clear-cut choices over the 4 and 6.
Yeah, this is strange. It has to change, you would think. So here's Good Skate, and before you get too excited, the fact that he did beat Certified Lover Boy back on February 27th, that was a race where Certified Lover Boy stumbled badly and lost his rider.
Yeah, and it enabled this horse to get to the front, so it really changed the whole dynamic. But he does feel like a horse that will be forwardly placed, and he's run well in red tracks. I've always felt he was pretty fortunate when he was able to win races. But still, I'm not going to discount his chances here, and I think he's taking a lot of money because of the wet track.
And he's just not the most consistent, which is tough. Sometimes he runs exceptional races, and then sometimes he just does not fire at all. There's really no in between.
But his good races are good enough to be competitive here, that's for sure, to say the least competitive.
Back to Michaelicious. So moving to the Carlos Martin barn, as you said, trainer having a terrific year. Ricardo Santana Jr. aboard, and another one who was going to be fairly far out of it early, you would think.
You felt, Acacia, that he didn't get the best of trips last time.
No, I didn't think he looked very comfortable throughout the running of the race, which was my hope here, picking up Ricardo, that he's going to be able to get a little bit more of a fluid trip in here. Now, that being said, I don't think that he should be any sort of short price in here. I thought he was a little bit intriguing with a horse that I know can handle the distance, and that's a question that I have. I liked Certified Lover Boy to potentially wire the field, but the distance is a big question I had.
It is. I often feel like the mile and 3/16 as opposed to a mile and eighth race here at Aqueduct, same thing at Saratoga, it takes away a little bit of the edge of a speed horse. If you're a horse, especially you break inside, you know can go to the front. This mile and eighth races with hitting the turn so quickly, it really gives you an advantage. With a mile and 3/16 and another 1/16 of a mile towards the first turn, it gives the other horses a easier chance to get position, and I think it mitigates some of the advantages of speed on the inside. I'm not saying it's a huge factor, but I think it's a relevant point.
5-2, Good Skate, couple of wins on off tracks. With more, let's go to Maggie.
Yeah, that's right, Greg. And a horse that, you know, he was coming back off of that eased effort. You know, he's a horse that I think you can make the assumption pretty soundly that he is a horse that needs Lasix to compete. And he came back with the win going a mile for the 52 back. And, you know, look, I thought he looked really good in both of his last two starts. But one was okay and one was terrible. So there's really nothing from my vantage point that says to me at times that Good Skate is going to run one of his better efforts or one of his good efforts or one of his poor efforts. And I think Andy's right in the fact that, you know, he's just a horse of fortunate circumstances when he gets those wins. So we'll see what he can do here. I don't know how his job gets any easier with having to deal with Certified Lover Boy, obviously a quicker horse than he is. Maybe he will be able to stalk, you know, too wide and pounce, but not at a short price for me, Greg.
All right, Maggie, thank you. So 9-5 now. Odds have shifted. Certified Lover Boy has become the one to beat here. One who does own a victory on an off track, has been in the money in 5 of 7 on wet tracks, and we'll see. From that inside post with Pratt and that speed showed last time, you got to think this horse is going to go.
Oh, unless he stumbles or something happens to start, the one is going to be in front in this race occasion, don't you think?
That was my thought as well. I mean, he's a horse that I've always thought size-wise looks like he's one that should handle more distance. Obviously, it is a question. He's never gone this far before, and he's coming off of a win at 7 furlongs. But tactically, I really did think that he had an advantage, especially being drawn to the inside. And we know Flavien, who's given, as he always does, such heads-up rides here at Aqueduct over the last few days, and really taking advantage when we had that track, knowing where you really wanted to be on a biased racetrack, taking advantage of that, and just really putting his horses in the best spot to give them the best chance. And for me, with Certified Lover Boy, that's using his speed.
Couldn't agree more. I mean, it's interesting to watch. Obviously, I mean, you have such an incredibly deep room of riders, but with Irad and Flavien Prat both being back, and you know, that's going to be a very big competition between those two, because Irad's a highly competitive guy, and not only does he always want to win, but he's going to want to try to get that Eclipse Award back as well. He had won it for, what, he won 4 of the previous 5 years?
I think so.
Yeah, I know his brother won 1 year.
Yes, Jose won 1 year, and then I believe Irad had 4, and Flavien Prat, whose goal it was to get the Eclipse Award, and he just had an astounding year. The stakes record in Saratoga, stakes record for the year last year as well. Well deserved Eclipse Award, but I like the competition between the two of them. They're top riders, and it makes it fun for us.
And I think that Flavion's year last year just showed how tough it is to beat Irad Ortiz. Because look at the kind of year you have to beat the guy. You know, he's not. I don't.
Irad still had a good year.
Irad hasn't had a down year in his career. I mean, honestly. He's never, you know, one thing about Irad, it's very rare that you know, there have been listen, there are always times when people are sort of, things are working better than others, but I don't feel like Irad's a guy that goes into a slump.
He, maybe more than anyone, you think of him as having that killer mentality, just every single race.
Yeah. No, I agree. It's why I get kind of angry when I hear, I don't like people accusing them of, you know, sort of things that aren't fair, but anybody that doesn't think that Irad is trying to win every race he's in is just not paying attention.
And that's whether it's a low-level claiming race or a grade
Doesn't
one. He
matter.
wants to win them all.
Yep. It's one of the reasons I think he also gets bet as heavily as he does. There's just always this confidence that Irad, no matter what kind of race it is thinking about how to win the race and not thinking, I'll take this one off. This is kind of a lower level race. I don't really care about this one. It's just, it's not in his DNA.
He's got that Kobe Bryant Mamba-like mentality every single time he gets on top of a horse. 9-5 certified lover boy with Pratt Chileno. 9-5 favorite though with Manny Franco for Brad Cox. Here we go with a 7th. Belmont at the Big A. Our feature race. Chris Griffin the call.
Michaelicious, last to load. And in. All set. And they're off. Chileno flashes early speed, so does Certified Lover Boy. Certified Lover Boy to the inside with a neck advantage. Chileno is going to stalk from second, moderate pace early. Good Skate is just tucking in behind them, is in third, and out wider comes Michaelicious, the lone trailer, Jackson Heights. Certified Lover Boy has the lead. It's Certified Lover Boy, who's up by a full length. Certified Lover Boy will now take him into that turn, is up by that full length, followed by Chileno towards the outside, stalking second still. Good Skate is worked to the rail. Ground-saving journey there for Dylan Davis is 2 lengths in front of Michaelicious and Ricardo Santana Jr., the trailer. Jackson Heights. They work to the backstretch. 23.59 the opening quarter mile. Certified Lover Boy doing it easily. Certified Lover Boy still up by 3/4 of a length. Chileno content to stalk and sit there in second. Good Skate hasn't moved yet as the front trio continue to just roll right along through a 48-second flat half-mile time. Michaelicious starts to move in closer, and Jackson Heights is trailed throughout as Certified Lover Boy is up by 1.5 lengths. Certified Lover Boy, no excuses, is in control, has a half-mile left to go, is in command, and takes him into the far turn. Good Skate is moving through to the inside here of Chileno, who's now shoved along, and that duo is trying to catch the leader, who went 1:11.4 for 3/4 of a mile, and Certified Lover Boy looking very, very strong. Certified Lover Boy is up by 3.5 and extending the margin with ease. It's Certified Lover Boy approaching the top of the stretch, has a 1/4 mile left to go. Good Skate is trying to keep up. Chileno is all in from the back. Michaelicious, Jackson Heights. Certified Lover Boy has just been on a stroll and is opening up. And Certified Lover Boy has a furlong left to go. And just guess the margin at this point. Certified Lover Boy, front running score. It's all Certified Lover Boy, no doubt. Certified Lover Boy will win it. Chileno gets second. There's Good Skate for third. And Michaelicious in 1:55.29 seconds.
Certified Lover Boy seemed like this race was over pretty early. Took command and goes gate to wire.
You could see heading the far turn that the horses behind him were not going to beat him in this race in a classic merry-go-round race.
Yeah, just no movement throughout the running, and maybe some concerns about the distance, but obviously no problem. The Certified Lover Boy got very comfortable on the front end.
I still just don't feel it's right that Ray Handel doesn't always have this horse, you know, named after him.
Yeah.
You know, I just think it's really a shame.
It was poetic.
By the way, I'm a fan of Fernando Abreu. We don't see it, you know, he's been running a lot more horses in New York over the last year and doing well. Good trainer.
Very good.
1-3-4-6, Flavian Pratt, Certified Lover Boy. Leads every step of the way here. Yeah, Fernando Abreu. Third off the claim. Claim for $35,000. And gets all of that back here and more with this win.
Yeah, this is a very easy win. There he is. Happy to get the win. So happy he's texting.
The best text to make.
That's right, work
a
for the
winning
Chief.
one. 8-5
He
here.
wanted to see what you tweeted about him.
Good man, Fernando.
So we'll have these prices when we come back. Again, 1-3-4-6 finish. What an impact she is continuing to make after a rough start early on. Going out solo in her career, Sheree Devo really stepping things up. Stay with us.
This proven son of Giants Causeway has sired 7 millionaires. With over 10% stakes performers, his recent top runners include Tarabi, placed in the Grade 1 Spinaway and Breeders' Cup Juvenile Fillies, Grade 2 winner Plum Ali, plus these standout performers. A proven value sire, First Samurai, standing at Claiborne Farm.
Welcome back to the program. It's America's Day at the Races here on FS2 as we saw Certified Lover Boy, certified winner today every step of the way, as I'm pleased to be joined by his trainer, Fernando Abreu. And I can't help myself. I have Tourette's. I just want to call you Nappy, immediately off the bat.
Fine. It's
okay.
fine.
All right, cool. But he just, when he broke, he threw his ears up. He just looked so confident throughout.
Yeah, I mean, that was always the question, if he could handle the distance. Jeff, from playing the field, he thought he could handle a distance with no problem. So kudos to him. But having Flavor and Pratt, he was going to try to control the pace as much as he can, but he was just playing out there.
It's a niche kind of distance, right? 1 mile and 3/16 or anything more than that. Do you ever toy around with some of those marathon races now that he's proven that he can he's almost better when he gets out there and gets in his rhythm?
It all depends. Yeah, I mean, this is still like 4 or 5 horse field. If the field is small, which they usually are in those long marathon, I don't see why not take a shot. We'll see how he comes out and see where he'll take us next.
Speaking of taking a shot, you'll do so tomorrow in the Grade 2 Man of War. Obviously, Far Bridge will be incredibly formidable in what is a short field, but Paddock, epic name, by the way, claimed him, switched him to the turf, won right away, and then you've gotten very aggressive with him.
Yeah, I mean, he's been training real good. When I claimed him, John from Imaginary, everything was to put him back on the turf. He had one good race going long in Kentucky Downs. He won his maiden, then we said, why not just try him in the mile and a half? And he ran good. He run third to Far Bridge, which he's still the big dog. You got to beat him tomorrow, you know. I mean, but Paditto's training good here, and hopefully he could carry the mile in 3/8 like he did in Florida. So tomorrow the track is going to be, I don't know the condition of the turf, how it's going to be and how he's going to like it. Florida's much faster and firmer.
We shall see. I think everybody is going to have their wellies on tomorrow to get through what looks to be a softer course. Well, congratulations here. Big win with Certified Lover Boy.
Thanks a lot, Maggie.
All right. Fernando Abreu gets the win here on the front end quite easily, Greg.
That was, easy victory. And yeah, Padilla will take another shot at Far Bridge tomorrow on the Man of War.
I don't think the turf is going to have that much give. We didn't get that much rain. I mean, it's supposed to clear up and be nice, so we'll see.
Regardless, though, it's a very sharp claim by Fernando, putting this horse immediately back on the turf, and he ran really well to break his maiden going long, and then graded stakes place right after that. Very sharp claim.
And it's a small field. He's taking a shot. Even you get third in this race, you're talking about $40,000 for that. And he already finished third in the Pan Am last time. He gets Flavien Prat, so he's already way ahead of the game with this horse. He more than made the money he paid for this horse when he broke his maiden. So this horse is on a massive free roll.
Up next, race 8, scheduled for the turf, moves to the main track. And a very short price on Mallerchuck for trainer Chad Brown, but you also have a horse in here next door who beat Dornick in a stakes race, who was the eventual Haskell and Belmont Stakes winner.
Yeah, I mean, obviously noted as the wild card sort of weird horse in here. The problem with him is he's kind of lost his form on the surface, and in general, he was better on the turf. But he does have that one race where he beat Dornick, so somewhere in there's a horse that you know could compete in this spot.
And to be fair, Dornick's a horse that improved as a 3-year-old, and when they knew that they really had to use his speed, but he was a horse, obviously, that was very highly touted from the beginning and noted while most of his races have been on the turf, has obviously been able to handle the dirt in the past as well.
This one's coming up next tomorrow. All those stakes on the card, including one we've not yet talked about, the Take the A Train. 6 furlongs scheduled for the lawn. And Sheree Devo, she will have a couple of chances in this race. Hey Birdie, serving time. Stablemates will both line up for this barn. Success did not come easy for trainer Sheree Devo after going out on her own. She waited almost an entire year to get that first win. But fast forward to this past year, and things are looking much brighter. Devo has turned her barn into one of the most formidable in the country, and it's coming off the first Breeders' Cup win of her career.
So I was born in Saratoga. Everyone wants to say you're from New York. I don't claim that. I like to say my formidable years were spent in Southwest Florida. My dad was a harness trainer, so I grew up in the harness racing industry. I used to be involved in bodybuilding and competing, and I got into thoroughbreds kind of by happenstance. I just needed a job and got a job as a hot walker, and then I thought I can ride them, so I wanted to be an exercise rider, so I started galloping at a farm. I got my first job for Chuck Simon, whose full circle first job was for my father on the harness track. He took me under his wing and gave me guidance and direction and really gave me the foundation. And when I outgrew the job, that's when I started working for Chad, and I worked for him for 8 years. Lady Eli and the situation she went through with the laminitis was something that was a really profound experience in my life. You just had to be patient and listen to her. I'd have to say that's one of the most special bonds I've had with a horse that I've worked with. My main takeaway from working with Chad was just a really big bank of knowledge to pursue the career that I have now. There's never going to be an opportune moment to say, this is when I'm going to go out on my own. And the one thing when I worked for Chad, that was my life, and I was happy to make it so, but really my personal life is what drove the change. I'd met my husband. My last day was on a Sunday. We got married on a Friday. And then I had announced that I was starting my business the same week. So there was a lot of change. Success did not come easy, and it took us quite a bit of time to gain traction. I started in 2018, and we got a little bit going, and then COVID hit. So it was 11 months. We had gotten really close a couple times, but that'll definitely test your character. The first graded stakes win was a filly named Gam's Mission. And then the first grade 1 that we won with She Feels Pretty, I had went to Churchill to saddle a horse, and I was sitting by myself with my earbuds and watching my iPad.
But She Feels Pretty careering away in the Johnny Wagner Dalma Stakes. She feels more than pretty. She feels fantastic.
But when she ranged up and went on by everyone, I just had to say, I just won my grade 1. I just won my first grade 1, and just didn't quite know what to do with myself. I can say that I'm really proud of how things have grown. I just don't have it in me to say, well, I'm successful, because I just still feel like there's so much more to do and so much I would like to achieve, but also trying to really enjoy where we're at now.
Well, Sheree Devo, very talented, obviously spent all that time with it, Chad Brown barn, and so many successful horses that came up there, but now starting to really make an impact with the runners in her barn, and that Breeders' Cup Mile win. Huge.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I was hoping More Than Looks would stick around. I'm such a big fan, but she feels pretty, who's not just one of the best filly or mare sprinters in the country, one of the best turf horses in the country, is terrific. And she also, started out working for Chuck Simon, and of course we all miss Chuck, and but learned with him and then with Chad Brown as well.
Who she credits really with sort of straightening her out a little bit.
I saw Sheree posted something really nice on social media the other day that she was able to give back to one of her previous schools a scholarship in memory of Chuck Simon, which I thought was really special as well.
Yeah, I think there's a something for like a memorial service for him early in the Saratoga meet this summer. Actually, looking forward to going. Chuck was a good man.
Well, the two she's going to line up in the take the A train. Hey Birdie, serving time. What do you think?
Hey Birdie feels like the better of the two, the more talented. She's won on turf and dirt, and she's very good. But Serving Time, the other one, I recommend to people at home, go on Naira Bets where you can watch the fairgrounds races, because that horse had an insane trip to get to win that race. She was blocked the entire stretch. But I think Hey Birdie's the better of the two.
She does seem like she has more talent. She also has the recency as well. Hey Birdie, Serving Time's making the first start of her 3-year-old season. She hasn't raced since December, but Hey Birdie is 2 for 2. She won in the off the turf race. I think her class just kind of taking her through there where she was forwardly placed, and then she came from off of it as a closing sprinter in her only grass race.
And if you bet her, she's always an easy horse to see because she's got those lime green silks for the Klein silks, the Klein Racing silks in lime green. She's an easy horse to follow. This is a terrific race. I mean, you can see from the morning line, it's a wide open race.
Coming up, part of that sensational Saturday loaded with stakes action. We hope you join us tomorrow. And Andy and I, and even once in a while, Keisha joins us on the A train.
Tonight.
She drinks it quite often. Yeah. We love the A train. It's coming into North Conduit right there.
I've not been on that one. That one looks brand clean and
You've
fresh.
been on those trains?
Not that particular one.
I don't know about that.
An Eclipse champion by leading young sire Not This Time. Up to the Mark made an impression in the sales ring, bringing $450,000. He then left his mark on the racetrack, a debut winner at Saratoga, before compiling 3 consecutive Grade 1 wins in the Turf Classic at Churchill Downs, the Manhattan Stakes at Belmont, and the Turf Mile at Keeneland. Up to the Mark now seeks to leave his mark as a stallion, standing at Lane's End.
Horse racing? Check. Weekly promotions? Got 'em. Huge payouts? You bet. With Naira Bets. Download the app today and bet on any track, anywhere, anytime with live HD horse races, betting tips and tutorials, expert picks, and more. You bet with Naira Bets. Join now for a new member bonus at nairabets.com.
At the Keeneland September yearling sale, the premier thoroughbred auction venue in the world, Mandy Pope of Whisper Hill Farm signed the ticket on the $5 million sale topper by Curlin, bred by Stone Street Thoroughbred Holdings. He was one of $5 million plus yearlings by Curlin to sell. No fewer than 55 of his yearlings fell to the auction gavel, averaging nearly $600,000, making Curlin the #1 sire of yearlings in 2024. Curlin, the classic sire.
Ruffian has the lead by a length and a half, and Equal Change is now second. Let Me Linger drops back. Gallant Trial swings to the outside, and down the stretch they come, with Ruffian in front now by 2.5 lengths. Equal Change is second by the same margin, and Gallant Trial races third. As they come to the final 16th, it's Ruffian in front by 2. Equal Change is second. It's Ruffian in front.
One of the truly all-time greats, Hall of Famer, champion 2- and 3-year-old filly who led at every point of call in every race she ever lined up in.
And she was part of my falling in love with racing. Remember seeing in the spin away, she was the only horse I'd ever heard of that first summer I went to Saratoga in '74 when my family lived there. I'd read about her in the New York Times. She was such a sensation. So I went down to the winner's circle and watched her at the finish line at Saratoga, winning by over, I think, 14 lengths in the spin away. And I fell in love with her and was following her. She got a hairline fracture shortly thereafter, missed the rest of her season, but she came back with an incredible record, and she is truly one of the greatest filly or mares or horses of all time. Amazing horse.
What a career and a rare talent. And these are the kind of horses, that can help people really fall in love with the game. There you see the 74-75 champion 2-3-year-old filly, Hall of Fame inductee, that triple tiara she pulled off back in 1975.
And if she was running today, that earnings would be much, much higher.
It's amazing.
She did it the hard way then.
Amazing. And keep in mind, the CCA Oaks was a mile and a half then, and this was a horse who was blazing speed, but she was able to carry it and run a fast race in there and beat a very, very good horse, Make Change, who became quite a broodmare as well. Or Equal Change, excuse me.
This year's edition of the Ruffian, race 10 tomorrow on the card, grade 2. And this is a look at the field that will line up. We have the New York bred My Main Squeeze making her second start back of her 4-year-old campaign for trainer Mike Maker.
And, you had made a point earlier, Case, which I think is a good one. A mile around one turn is probably fine for her, but she may be a little better at 7.
I think that's her best distance. That's really where she's found her sweet spot. And yeah, she is 2 for 2 at the mile, but both of those were against New York bred company. And she is a horse that's been running and running well against open graded stakes types, but I wonder if she's going to get the right kind of trip, the right kind of setup, the right flow of the race that she needs when going the mile.
Well, she's a better horse if she can get a little pace in front of her. And this race, the pace may depend on the one, Take the Money Honey, who's also entered at Monmouth on Sunday Serena's Song. Likely to scratch out of here and run there, which potentially makes Gun Song, if she can refine her form of last year, the main speed, and that may mitigate My Main Squeeze's chances at least a little bit.
To her outside, headline numbers, who July 4th weekend last year, the way she started her career, made you think this might be a next superstar.
Yeah, I mean, she's run well during her career, but she's been a bit of a disappointment considering her debut, and setting her the lead here in this race obviously made a big difference. We're not going to fortunately have a track like this tomorrow, and she isn't the speed in this race. I hope she runs well, Acacia, but she hasn't done anything in her career to allow me to have any confidence in her.
No, I completely agree, and I know that she won the top flight by open lengths, and it was on a wet track. She was also going a mile and an eighth, where she was able to control pretty easily and by herself on the front end, and I don't see that happening in this race and cutting back in distance as well. She's a horse that I think has kind of underperformed with what the hopes were at the beginning.
Yeah, I mean, you have to say that. She has a full brother, I think, the one who broke his maiden with a big buyer figure here a couple of weeks ago. He should be coming back soon. His name is escaping me right now.
Meanwhile, Jody's Pride, I think we were all excited to see her come back in that Azaria against the reigning horse of the year, Torpedo Anna, because Maggie, we'd seen what she can do and the talent that she had shown. We didn't get to witness it, though, that day in the Azaria. What do you expect tomorrow?
Well, I would expect them to hopefully be a little bit more aggressive with Jody's Pride. Greg, as you mentioned, she kind of broke half a step slow, which allowed her to get squeezed back at the start. And she had the opportunity to be lapped on to Torpedo Anna when the late scratch of Wild About Hillary came through, because she looked to be the fastest horse in there. And then at the end of the day, it just allowed Torpedo Anna, your reigning horse of the year, to do her thing out on the front end. But I really do like the fact that they're actually cutting Jody's Pride back, because for looking at her physically, she is more compact, built more like a sprinter overall, but obviously can stretch her speed out. So I think a 1-turn mile is really going to be ideal for her. Joelle Rosario climbing aboard for the second time in her career. We'll see how aggressive he can be tomorrow with Jody's Pride, who I think we've all liked in the past. We'll see if she can get on the right track in the Ruffian.
That'll be great to see. That is race 10 on the card tomorrow. 5 stakes on our Saturday schedule here on our coverage tomorrow afternoon.
I love that we named a race Take the A Train. I hope we should keep that race when we go over to Belmont Park, because we need to do things to make sure we remember the Big A, because the Big A has been such an important part of our racing for a long, long time.
The A Train is so aqueduct.
The best.
Back to our next race coming up here. This 8th race scheduled for the grass mile main track now, and the odds-on favorite, Malarchuk Chad Brown, coming off a 3rd place finish last time out on a muddy sealed track. Our post parade coming up. We'll start with we'll start with the 5. Noted.
Noted has one dirt race that could make him a contender here. The concern with him is more the fact that his recent form leaves something to be desired.
Yeah, 3 out, excuse me. Malarchuk, 1-2 favorite, way too short.
I think he's way too short in this race. Listen, he can win, but the truth is with him, he's been a bit of a disappointment. Maybe he found the right field, but I'm not sure.
This one ran almost as fast as Malarchuk last start. Can he do it again? Colomio has Dylan Davis.
Just beating a nose last time out. He does have early speed. Is he that good? But I think tactically that should help him.
And thrill of it, the price outside here at 10-1, Ricardo Santana Jr.
His recent form is bad. I picked him in here. I'm hoping he can find. He once had form that could beat this field, and I'm not that worried about the distance. I'm more worried about his recent form. But I thought at a price in this race where I don't love any of them, including the favorite, I wanted to give him a shot. But he's a little bit of a stretch given his recent form.
Oh, so here's Malarchuk, 1-2. Chad Brown, Flavien Prat rides a horse who's had a lot of stops and starts in his career.
Well, this horse has all the accoutrements to be overbet, right? Chad Brown, reasonably good figures. Flavien Prat, but he's been a bit of a disappointment, this guy, and he's not particularly fast early.
Yeah, I picked him earlier on the handicapping show, and now seeing the price, I really wish that I could switch over to the 5, just getting a bit of a better price on him. I thought when first looking at this race on paper, at least he was one that had some dirt form. But yeah, he's certainly nothing to be overly excited about. Now, to be fair, also comes out of that 1 1/8 race, what Chileno came out of. Chileno didn't really do much running at all in the previous race.
Yeah, no, I mean he's finished 5th and 3rd at 6-5 and 8-5. He has a big win here going a mile where he's involved in a reasonably quick pace. But I think if they're aggressive with Colomio, who they're supposed to be aggressive with, that horse is faster than him early.
And rider Dylan Davis, who is going to take advantage, as well attuned to the racetrack. Let's go down to Maggie.
Whoa, I'm watching the warm-up that Flavien Prat's giving Malarchuk here in the, I don't have a monitor today, but on the screen behind me, as he just literally tried to quarter horse him down the backside, heading down the chute here. So indicating to me that he's going to try to be aggressive with him out of the gate, or maybe he felt what I saw, and that he just looks like a horse that's a bit sticky behind over this racetrack. And, for me, sometimes horses elevate when they hit the track, and sometimes I downgrade them from what I saw in the paddock relative to what I see in the warm-ups. And Malarchuk fits that bill. And at 1-2, I am going to head straight next door to Noted, who looks so comfortable, so happy, so fluid over this racetrack. And let's face it, he is a multiple stakes winner, having won on both the dirt and the turf. They may have been weaker fields, but I don't care. They still count as stakes. Actually, the Sapling wasn't weak. There was a Belmont Stakes winner in there. And then the other time he was on the dirt, it was against multiple Grade 1 winners. Fierceness Locked, for instance, in the Breeders' Cup Juvenile. So Noted, he's done well. I haven't seen him since he was a 2-year-old. He's filled out. He was a good-looking 2-year-old, but that frame has been realized. He's more mature physically and mentally. He just ticked every box for me. So I'm going to go go with Noted getting back to the main track today, Greg.
All right, Maggie, thank you. 5-2 on Noted, who the last 2 times on the dirt, Breeders' Cup Juvenile against Fierceness, didn't go well. Prior to that, he won the Sapling, beating Dornick, who would become your eventual Belmont and Haskell winner.
And Dornick gave from this race to break his maiden at Keeneland and then beat Sierra Leone in the Remsen. You know, he's a horse looking at his last race that I believe fits my argument of how also ran speed figures on the turf can be deceiving. He didn't run a step last time, yet it has him running the best buyer figure by far that he's ever run. And I don't believe it's an accurate representation of his form. It's just a situation where he was in a turf race with good horses like Irish Aces that had to get a figure in the low to mid 90s. And turf races, you get beaten 5 lengths, you don't do any running, but the speed figures don't reflect it accurately. I would make speed figures for turf races in a very different way, where I would continue to increase the number of points for the lengths when you get past 2 lengths, because I just think that turf racing is such a different animal than dirt racing, and you can get also-rans in turf races that their speed figures make them look a lot better than they are.
Well, there's no question about it. His form has tailed off recently, despite that speed figure, but he does have at least a dirt win, and the only other dirt race was in the Breeders' Cup Juvenile, where he was kind of thrown to the wolves there, going in to face the likes of Fierceness, Muth, and Locked in that race. So maybe he's a horse that just has totally lost his form. I am not proud or not pleased with my pick at 2-5 on Malarchuk, and totally agree with Maggie. Was not thrilled with what I saw with him on the track, but he does have some dirt form as well. The big question, though, with this field, Greg, is that every single horse in here has questions to answer. Andy, I know you like the number 11 in Thrill of It. I saw him down at Tampa, his first race off the layoff, which was kind of the comeback race for Nutella Fella, and he just really looked like he needed a race from a fitness perspective that day. I wonder, has he moved forward at all since then?
I don't have any confidence in him. My feeling was that he'd be a big price. I don't trust the 7. I don't have any confidence in Noted. I understand Maggie Hang a Shot. That's fine. I don't think 5-2 is a bargain on him, but I get it. I didn't love Colombian. I thought Thrill of It has races going back that are good enough to win. Now, I have no confidence he's still that horse, but I can lose a few dollars on him at 12-1 knowing what he once was, because he once was a horse that could beat this field fairly handily. Don't you think, Greg, or do you think I'm crazy?
I just don't think he's that horse at all anymore, but maybe I'm wrong.
No, I think that there's much more argument for what you're saying.
Yeah.
I'm not saying there's a great argument to defend his race form stinks. I mean, he's terrible. But it wasn't that long ago he could be competitive in the air, and I'm hoping we can refine that. But I have no confidence.
4-1 on Colomio the 10. To me, a horse too has the ability to be forward in here is very enticing.
Speed, right? I mean, he's supposed to be in front.
And his last race is as good as anything Malarchuk's done.
I agree. He's a surprising price in this race. I'm not going to argue against that. I don't know why he's twice the price of Noted.
Totally agree. He has much stronger recent dirt form, that's for sure. Much stronger form overall, and a good last-out effort. I know Charlie Baker's barn has been cold recently over the last year or so, but, I mean, this is a horse that won some good races for him over the winter and at least has held his form, I know, against New York Bred Company largely, but I don't think he's facing killers in this group.
No, I mean, well, Charlie can say hasn't been up to the kind of performances we are usually seeing from him. It's a 4-horse off the turf race, and he's an MTO. I mean, he's just too big a price. You're absolutely right, Greg. Absolutely right. Even 7-2, he's too big a price.
Yeah.
He's not supposed to be that much bigger price than Noted. But then again, he doesn't have Irad Ortiz riding him. He only has Dylan Davis.
His price way too big. Malarchuk's price way too short. Noted here, obviously, that jumps off the page that he beat Dornick. Keep in mind, Dornick, it was the second start of his career. He was still a maiden at the time. He was not yet your Belmont Haskell winner, but still, he was a talented horse.
But he had finished second to the Preakness winner in his debut in the race before that.
Yeah, he had. Just
for the Triple Crown
run-of-the-mill 2-year-old maiden race at Saratoga, which we love. Set for this 8th on the card. Belmont of the Big A. Let's go to Chris Griffin.
And in. All set. And they're off. Broken and even line, and Malarchuk from in between horses is showing early speed, and Malarchuk is now ahead in front. Is followed intently here by Colomio towards the outside, very tightly packed. Thrill of It still in that early mix, and Noted is the trailer, but only a length off the lead as they are bunched up and they come out of the chute, and Colomio has now secured the front. Colomio is up by a half length. Malarchuk is well settled as to the inside here as a tracking second as they start to spread out now. 23.27 for the opening quarter mile. Colomio is going to try and take them all the way here for Dylan Davis as they move up the backstretch, and Thrill of It is a challenging second. Malarchuk broke on top, but is now back to third, and the trailer is Noted. Can Colomio take them all the way? Colomio is approaching a half mile left to go. Colomio is still doing it nicely enough and works into the far turn. Noted makes the first move, and Red Ortiz Jr. is on the move here, has taken a clear second. Just like that, Noted is now chasing the leader at the rail. Malarchuk is now ridden along. Ground saving journey as Thrill of It has dropped back to be the trailer. Colomio's got two in pursuit. It's Noted to the outside, and the orange cap and Malarchuk towards the inside red cap as they are trying to pounce on this leader as they approach a quarter mile left to go. Colomio is now all in, and Colomio kicks away. Noted got the first jump with that move on the backstretch, and here comes Noted to challenge and take the lead. It's Noted to try to push on by. Colomio is very stubborn towards the inside, though, won't go away quietly. Malarchuk is trying to keep up, but Noted with a head in front. Noted is trying to finish this off. Colomio's very game towards the inside. Malarchuk is lunging late. Down to the wire. Give it to Noted to win it. Noted wins it. Then a photo. That was Malarchuk to the outside of Colomio. Running time, 1 minute 35.68 seconds.
Noted back on dirt with the win. Red Ortiz Jr., Todd Pletcher, Rapoli Stable.
Yeah, made the big move in the middle of the race and was able to gut it out over Colomio. Did not want to give it up, and Malarchuk kind of got running a little bit late and looked like he got second, but he never really looked like a winner.
No, he was grinding late there, but it was Noted who, as you said, kind of a decisive move from Red Ortiz as well to head the pace setter in Colomio, and he was able to hold on late. Very game effort from the top three, in fact. Colomio went on the front end as he should. He tried to hold on, but looks like it's another slim margin to defeat for him.
Yeah, and my horse, as we all suspected, just can't run anymore. Drove it all.
So it's Noted. Yeah, first time in a while since the Breeders' Cup Juvenile back in 2023, back on a dirt surface. And he didn't have to deal with any fierceness, Muther locked in here.
Was a good move to leave him in this race. He found the right spot to get it done.
Wins at 2-1 as a second choice. Prices when we come back. We will get into the nightcap when we return. So Red Ortiz Jr. for Todd Pletcher here in the 8th with 2-1 second choice on the board.
And here's Tama in the final stages. The Santa Anita Derby goes to Tama. It's Tama, absolutely terrific, winning Malibu by 4 widening lengths.
Back with you on our Friday coverage here on Fox Sports 2. You're watching America's Day at the Races, brought to you in part by Gainesway. Power, passion, performance, Nightcap. Still to come. We'll get to that in a moment. It's noted. In the 8th year, Rad Ortiz Jr., Todd Pletcher, Winner's Circle lead-in, brought to you by the Fasig-Tipton Mid-Atlantic May 2-year-olds in training sale to be held May 19th and 20th in Timonium, Maryland. After the Preakness, where will you be? So noted, former sapling winner as a 2-year-old back on dirt with a win.
So the pick 3 was a relatively generous $20, okay, for $1. And we had a $30 horse, right? So that's $300. What did the first winner pay? It was short, right?
I believe so.
Yeah, 2-1. So 300, so 900. The smallest pick 6 is the 10, who's going to be a heavy favorite, is $4,000 for $1. And Truly Magic, the second choice, is $7,000. One tough horse was all you needed.
Wow.
Don't leave out short prices trying to be a wise guy and pick 6s, especially when you have some long shot ideas.
So we'll close it out. Race meant for the turf. Main track now 6 furlongs. New York bred, maiden special weight, long-legged queen. Even money here. Flavian Pratt will be aboard.
And I think she's a better turf horse, but she certainly can handle the dirt. She and Truly Magic have certainly just run the better races on the main track. The one benefit of Long-Legged Queen versus Truly Magic is that she's a bit more speed.
More on this when we come back from a timeout, and we'll look ahead to tomorrow, the Grade 2 Man of War, and the 2-time Grade 1 winner, Farbridge, looking to add to his 5-year-old return here off that win coming back.
It's Mandaloon. Mandaloon wins.
Horse racing? Check. Weekly promotions? Got 'em. Huge payouts? You bet. With Naira Bets. Download the app today and bet on any track, anywhere, anytime with live HD horse races, betting tips and tutorials, expert picks, and more. You bet with Naira Bets. Join now for a new member bonus at NairaBets.com.
Drain the Clock will win and win by as much as he wants.
Drain the Clock will bound home the winner. Drain the Clock, Jackie's Warrior, drain the clock by a head.
$120,000. $100,000 in the back.
General admission tickets are on sale now for the Belmont Stakes on June 7th at Saratoga Racecourse. Don't miss your chance to witness the historical third leg of the Triple Crown. Get your tickets today by visiting belmontstakes.com/tickets.
RaceLens is the most in-depth product in horse racing with unique features found nowhere else. True odds, predictive analysis, and pace projection. RaceLens. It will change the way you follow horse racing and take your game to the next level.
And Gio Ponte is 4.5 lengths from the lead in behind horses as the field turns for home. Mission Approved still on top. Mission Approved is still the leader. On the outside, here comes Expansion now. Gio Ponte comes up for running room, and he's got 1 furlong to get to the wire. But it's still a huge long shot, and Mission Approved in front. Expansion, Gio Ponte. Mission Approved, he's 50-1. Here's Gio Ponte on the outside, and Gio Ponte did it like a champion that he is.
Yeah, one of the great turf horses we've seen in some time was not about to let a 50-1 shot steal the thunder.
I love Gioponte. He was such an amazingly cool horse. He was very unlucky in the initial Breeders' Cup Juvenile turf race in that bog at Monmouth, where he was as buried as a horse could ever be.
That's a ride. Ramon Dominguez was aboard that day, right? Ramon Dominguez rode him for a lot of his career.
Yeah, Ramon rode him most of his career. Did Ramon ride him in that?
I am trying to remember if it was the Breeders' Cup.
Could it have been Corey Nakatani? Did he ride him early in his career? He might have. To find out. Maybe I can make. And there's a very young
Christophe L'Oreal.
Wow. We were all so much younger back then.
Tremendous star.
You were the womb, I think. The rest of us were a little.
On the lawn, of course, that runner-up finish on Synthetic in the Classic to Zenyatta. Man of War, this year's edition, race 2 tomorrow. Mile 3/8 on the turf. And apologies, I shortchanged Farbridge, 3-time Grade 1 winner. Comes back as a 5-year-old, wins the Grade 3 Pan American. So a successful return.
It was
at Gulfstream.
It was. And I think if you're looking, first of all, trying to go a mile and a half off a layoff, his first race off a layoff last year, not necessarily as good as some others, so he can move forward off that.
And it was actually only, which I found shocking, but it was just 0.1 seconds off the track record, which has been set by Twilight Eclipse. Obviously, they don't run a ton of those long-distance races on the turf down at Gulfstream, but in pretty good company there. He's a really
those
cool
are good horse.
Yeah, very, very cool horse.
A lot of seconds, but a good
Yes.
horse.
But the thing about Farbridge, and you mentioned this earlier, Andy, that you look at his race last year when he came off the bench, and it was his first race back with Christophe, and he ran down at Gulfstream, and it was one of his slower races, but it set him up for the year, and that was the idea with the Pan American. Obviously, it's great to win that race, but you're looking at races like the Man of War and the Manhattan and the Sword Dancer again throughout the rest of the year.
Absolutely.
Going to be in all the major ones, $1.9 million in earnings for Farbridge. Meanwhile, on the rail, Anglophile closing in on $1 million in earnings.
And, well, mostly because he beat Farbridge when he won that Dueling Grounds Derby down at Kentucky Downs about a year and a half ago. I think he's very dangerous near. There were not a lot of horses making real moves near. He picked up a lot of ground, and I'm hoping in here with a smaller field he can be a bit closer.
He is one that tends to come from very far off of it, and he has not won since September of 2023 in that Dueling Grounds Derby, which obviously they give out so much money at Kentucky Downs, so certainly helping his overall earnings. But he's a remarkably consistent horse that has run very similar Beyer speed figures throughout much of his career.
Yeah. And then, we talked about Capture the Flag. Could be alone setting the pace and could be difficult to run down if he runs his A race.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see how much speed the outside horse shows in this race, but you have to think they're going to be aggressive with him because rating last time didn't work out at all.
No, it didn't. Capture the Flag did not look comfortable, did not fire when being taken from off the pace, and decanted it, making the second start for Kerry Bryan after trying to go over jumps last time out.
Part of a sensational Saturday afternoon card here at Belmont at the Big A. This is the lineup. Starts at 1:47 Eastern. The stakes action does with that second. In the Man of War, John A. Nehru take the A train, the Ruffian we talked about, and of course the Peter Pan, that traditional prep for the Belmont Stakes. Todd Pletcher's won more than any other trainer. He'll have a couple of shots at it. And we'll see Captain Cook, Withers winner, back in action in that race as well. 6:46 Eastern start time for the Peter Pan. Nightcap still to come on our Friday card. And here's Long-Legged Queen, Flavian Pratt, on our current even money favorite. We'll be back.
To have this weather and to have the beach and this racetrack, this is paradise. You can't beat it.
This is the Breeders' Cup World Championships from Del Mar.
Oh, it's wide open. Who's it going to be? Sierra Leone does it in the Breeders' Cup Classic.
The ex-race horses that come to North Country Horses are allowed to relax after their race careers and are then brought along slowly to point to a new job.
We let the horses tell us what they might want to do.
In the case of standardbred Call Me Kinger, Amanda Vance thinks he could do anything from pleasure riding to hunter classes at horse shows.
It doesn't matter if he goes to a show home or a pleasure home, as long as he is well cared for and loved in that home.
The gelding's education is being supported by Chelsea O'Reilly of the Thoroughbred Retirement Foundation, which is also known as TRF. O'Reilly grew up driving horses and now uses her skills to transition both trotters and thoroughbreds to second careers. O'Reilly loves seeing the two organizations working together to help two kinds of horses.
By having a facility close to Saratoga, showcasing two sides of Aftercare at one facility, that everybody can work together to rising tide raises all ships. So, and to be able to pick each other's brains about how to succeed and really showcase how New York is supporting Aftercare.
TRF and New Vocations are among many aftercare organizations supported by the New York State Thoroughbred Breeding Fund, which has provided more than $1 million in the past decade to aftercare groups in the state. This thoroughbred was adopted by Amanda Vance from the New York Horsemen's Take the Lead program. Amanda allows volunteers as well as students to ride her gelding. The day of our visit, we met two students from local high schools which offer vocational training for the equine industry. We watched Hudson Falls senior Shaylin Perry give Small Town Throwdown his first post-track ride.
Well, we've been working on him with lunging, desensitizing, getting a saddle on him, just grooming him, getting him used to off-track life, and then trying to get him used to having a saddle and a rider now.
Next time, Shaylin grabs his mane and swings her leg over his back.
Good boy.
Good boy. Good boy. It's pretty exciting to see how kindly King accepts his rider and her guidance.
Good boy.
You're so smart.
Vance and O'Reilly agree that racetrack experience helps make retraining go much more smoothly.
They are versatile, they can do anything, and they've been everywhere. They have truck, they have trailer, they see the vet, they see the farrier. They are so well-minded for their age bracket that they can go on to any career.
When you adopt a horse from our program, you're actually helping two horses. So you've adopted him out of our program, and that makes room for the next horse to come in.
New Vocations, the oldest and largest racehorse adoption program in the country. They've placed over 9,000 horses in adoptive homes since their inception. Obviously, so important. Great to see all these organizations. I know, Acacia, you do it as well, to take these equine athletes once their careers are over and find new homes for them.
Yeah, it's a very important part of the sport. The horses give us a lot. And Andy, I think you always say it well, you never want to tell anybody how to give their money. But if you are looking to support an important piece of our game and to support the horses, always recommend find an organization that kind of touches you. Always look for one that's accredited by the Thoroughbred Aftercare Alliance. Of course, New Vocations, we just saw that feature, is one of them. But there are many wonderful organizations and many great people accredited by the TAA out there working to make sure that these horses have new homes and new careers when they're done, because as that piece said, and I can speak firsthand about that, they really can so beautifully transfer into anything after their racing days.
And you know, we can always do things better than we do them, but I think one of the things this industry has done a great job with, especially over the last 20 years, is improving aftercare. And it pains me to hear people knock us and say we're not doing it. When I speak about people like you and your family, but other people, Rick Schosberg would take the lead. You know, it's how much work people at the Thoroughbred Retirement Foundation do, and these people are doing great work for the horses. Can always do more, but it doesn't mean they're not doing a lot.
Absolutely. It's a labor of love, but one that's incredibly rewarding.
Yeah, Mag, I know you're heavily involved in this as well, and it's so crucial, and you know, to take care of these athletes, and great to see so many organizations stepping up and doing this.
Well, it's great to see the kind of marriage of the New Vocations in Saratoga as well as with the TRF, and those two women that you saw there in that piece, Amanda Vance of North Country Horses and Chelsea O'Reilly of the TRF, are total rock stars. I have the privilege of knowing them both personally, and they are just Energizer bunnies. They do so many things. Amanda running summer camps and lesson programs for the children, as well as retraining these thoroughbreds, and Chelsea attending to every second chance program and satellite farms across the country that the TRF facilitates. But last year, we actually did something really cool, which I hope we get to do again. I'll have to get with Amanda, but we had a kind of battle of the two organizations, the TRF and New Vocations. We all rode our retired racehorses. We had a jump off and we raised money, and it was a lot of fun. So Greg, I will hopefully get more information on that. It's usually during the meet at Saratoga, and people are more than welcome to come out there, and it's usually in the evening, and support a great cause.
Yeah, that'd be the trend. You have to pass that info along if that happens. That would be great. It's so important for the sport. We've got to take care of our athletes, but we're seeing that happen, and great to see organizations here in New York that are really in the forefront of doing this.
Listen, it's something that, like I said, we can always do everything we do, we can do better. But I think a lot has been done with aftercare of horses, and a great deal of progress has been made in the last 10, 20 years.
And a lot of the horsemen and women take it so seriously as well, and owners that really work a lot. I know, Andy, a horse you really liked, Slipstream, who ran for my father-in-law, and he just wasn't competitive in racing anymore. And the owner said, we want to retire him to a good home and find him a good spot. Don't push him. And he came to Racing for Home, our organization, and he's with my mom, though I don't think he will ever leave the permanent collection because she's completely fallen in love with him.
Has he replaced you as the
he
favorite
actually,
child in the
she
family?
shows more pictures of him to people than she does of me. Yes.
Well, we just saw the reigning Eclipse Award winning rider Flavien Prat. He'll ride this one here, Long-Legged Queen. It's pretty amazing. You look at Prat, the year he's off to. He's winning at 27% right now. Yeah. I mean, that is incredible.
The guy's a great rider, and he's traveled around a lot this winter to ride, and he's just a sensational rider, and horses really do respond to him as well.
Chance Acacia for a 3-win Friday here if Long-Legged Queen can get her picture taken.
He does. She's 4-5, and like I said, I do think she's better on turf, but she absolutely can handle the dirt. And while Truly Magic, to her inside, has run some faster races on the main track, Long-Legged Queen has some more early foot, which I think is a big reason why we're seeing her be the shorter price right now, Andy. She's not pace compromised like Truly Magic
Truly Magic just has an issue getting out of the gate.
She does.
Yeah, but on the other hand, I don't think there should be a big difference between their prices, but I agree wholeheartedly with what you said.
Post-parade coming up. We will start with Lady Delilah here for the Jimmy Ferraro barn.
The one dirt race is just atrocious, and Jimmy's just staying in, hoping to get a piece. Turf races are a lot better.
5-1. Here is what's going on with the 5 here. The 5 is in the race.
The 5 is in the race. I was wondering why you guys were saying she was scratched.
We incorrectly have the 5 scratched on the board.
I heard on Twitter from one of the owners that she's good, but we'll see what happens. Twitter tips.
Right, debut there for Melanie Giddings. Yes, there we go, 6-1. Here is Truly Magic. Yeah, dwelt last start off. Slow the start before that.
I think she's the horse to beat in here, to be honest with you, because I don't really trust Long-Legged Queen, but you're right about the speed of that one.
4-5, meanwhile, and there is Prat on Long-Legged Queen.
And she is a horse that finished second on the main track 2 starts back. She does have some natural speed, which should be to her benefit.
And a 5-year-old mare on the outside, 0 for 13, although her dad did pretty good on a wet track.
Exaggerator, yeah, well, she's run a wet track before, and it's not one of her better efforts. But
Preakness win in the slop, right?
That's right, beat Nyquist, who was second. Dale Romans got up for second. Cherry Wine got up for second.
Don't ask me if you don't know.
No, I knew Cherry, and I knew that I had somebody here that knows about racing, unlike you.
Back down to Maggie.
You asked for that.
As we'll take a look here at the horse that is your favorite and the speed, Long-Legged Queen. Joe Lee and company keeping this horse very quiet in the paddock, kept her in the stall. So I'll be totally honest, I did not get the best of looks at her, but from what I can gather, she is one that, as I watch my pick, just not behaving out on the racetrack, as I'll get to the first-time starter in a moment. But she just hasn't grown much. You know, she's a 4-year-old. She's supposed to have, you know, kind of grown into herself a bit more, and she is what she is. She is quick, and maybe she'll appreciate this wet going that she has here today. I could definitely see that being the case, but she also looks fit coming in here, having not raced since the beginning of March. So I really don't have too many complaints about her. I just don't trust her, and I don't know how ultimately how good she is. You know, I think if somebody kind of breathes in her face a little bit, she is likely to cave. As we'll take a look here at number 9, Truly Magic. And Truly Magic is a rare thoroughbred that has 2 blue eyes. So she has what we'd call a bald face, theoretically, in that the white kind of comes down over her eyes, especially on her outside right eye. And I wonder if, because she's gotten out slowly, if her eyesight isn't as good. I don't know, but I'm just going from experience of when I've ridden paint horses, quarter horses that have that blue eye. They see things that aren't there. They tend to be a bit spookier than horses with the more natural brown eyes. So I'm wondering if she's just not seeing as well and not reacting well to those gates opening in front of her. She looks spectacular. If you could tell me she was going to break today, I would pick her, but I just don't know. So I'm going with the unknown, complete unknown, and that is number 5, Olivia's Grace. Picks up Christopher Elliott here for Mel Giddings. There is dirt pedigree. She looks as though she's well suited to the conditions here. She's been a bit green. That's my only problem with her, as she was bad to get the tack on. I saw her doing the kind of bronking, hucklebuck motion out on the racetrack. I wish she was a little bit more focused, to be fair, but she comes in here really physically well prepared, and that she's fit, she's strong, and I don't think it's going to take a superstar to beat this field today, Greg.
That is for sure. Meanwhile, Andy and Acacia going with the Blue-Eyed Beauty. 8-5 Truly Magic. We'll see if she can get out of the gate better today, because it's been an issue.
I want to buy her a pair of glasses.
8-5 right now.
You suggested contacts, actually.
Giant contacts, giant horse contacts.
Well, it is interesting. She's a very wild-looking horse of what you would typically expect a thoroughbred to look like. Truly Magic. And yes, it's an interesting point Maggie brings up, and I don't know the answer to it, but it is very intriguing, and I'd be curious. But the fact that she has not gotten out of the gate well is certainly a concern. That being said, she's just run some better races on the main track than Long-Legged Queen, and I agree with Maggie. Long-Legged Queen obviously has ability, but I don't know how much heart she's shown.
And I'll tell you something else. It feels like her recent form on the dirt is mediocre. Her first race in the dirt at Finger Lakes was actually pretty good. And then obviously she improved on the turf. Something went wrong in that last turf race, and I mean, I don't think she's run that well. Now, listen, she lost to Catchphrase 2 back, who's a very nice horse. Amelia Green has won our turf stake here last week, but she's been good on the dirt. So maybe just running against some better horses. But her last race was bad, and she had no speed. I imagine Flavien will get her to be forward in this race, but I, too, agree with what Maggie said. I think it's a very good point. It feels like if somebody gets near her in here, whoever it may be, if anyone does, she's just going to acquiesce.
8-5. We'll see what happens. Meanwhile, Long-Legged Queen, 4-5 with Pratt. And in terms of the pick 6, again, if it's anything outside of the 9 or 10,
they're particularly good payouts.
Going to get massively paid here.
But I know
pick 6
that I say this stuff a lot, but there is some very bad information being passed around on how to play multi-race bets. And pick 6 is the idea is to win. And if you use the $30 horse and you're not alive here because you left out some sort of semi-obvious short price, you have nobody to blame but yourself. It's not about saving money. It's about the money you don't win.
And I will say, like, most of this was incredibly logical.
Yeah.
Looks First was as logical as it was. In race 5, Looks First was incredibly hard
to
find.
Hard. No, I agree. I would never have had that horse. I'm not saying I would have had it, but if you did have that horse, especially as a major part, I mean, some people may have had it just as the horse is a C, in which case it was a little bit harder. I wouldn't have made noted an A. And it all depends on how much you're putting in, but man, it hasn't been hard besides that horse.
No, it has not. Even money here on Long-Legged Queen. Pratt for Jolie as we close out this Friday card here. 6 furlongs on the main track. Let's go to Chris Griffin.
Thanks, Greg. Long-legged Queen goes in, and Miss Uproar. Miss Uproar. Last to load to the outside, Romero Mirage. In the saddle. Going in. All set. And they're off. Miss Uproar flew out of the gate from the outside stall, and Miss Uproar is hard sent to the front, but quickest will be Olivia's Grace. And Olivia's Grace, split rivals, has now put a neck in front. Big pressure to the outside from Miss Uproar, who has just been sprinting once they sprung the latch, and these two are head and head. At the rail is Lady Delilah, is trying to make up some ground, and orange cap, that's Flavian Pratt on Long-Legged Queen. Now moves to the 3 path with less than 4 furlongs to go. The trailer is Truly Magic, 22-4 for that pressured opening quarter mile. The leader at the rail, Olivia's Grace and Christopher Elliott, still ridden along as Miss Uproar in between horses. Long-Legged Queen now gets the cue, and here comes the run from Long-Legged Queen. Maybe trying to get out just a touch here, and Truly Magic's going to be 4 wide. They're approaching a quarter mile left to go. Long-Legged Queen now straightens up and sprints for home. 46.71 was the half-mile time. A stubborn leader there in Olivia's Grace towards the inside. Truly Magic is trying to roll down the center of the racetrack on the grandstand side. Long-Legged Queen has got a fight, and Long-Legged Queen is now in front, is up by a neck. Still not going away. Olivia's Grace keeps battling on towards the inside, and Truly Magic. Long-Legged Queen is almost there. Long-Legged Queen, hard fought, wins the finale. Long-Legged Queen over Olivia's Grace, then Truly Magic and Lady Delilah in 1 minute 11.73 seconds.
3-win Friday afternoon. Flavian Pratt to take the nightcap here.
And she didn't even, I mean, she broke fine, but she didn't break that well, and she didn't make the lead, but she found the right competition here. The first timer, though, ran pretty well. It was a good call by Maggie.
She did. First-time starter, Olivia's Grace, who Christopher Elliott was aggressive with her early on. I think that was the right move, especially because your 2 favorites were at the back. Truly Magic broke slowly again. Last and grinding, not able to actually make up any significant ground late. Long-Legged Queen had just enough over this group. I think it's the perfect case of finding your friends.
10-5, 9-3 finish. A little stubborn to put this 5 away, but eventually does. And Long-Legged Queen, after 4 runner-ups in 6 starts, able to get that first win and now get the picture taken.
3rd win today for Flavian Pratt.
Yeah.
There's Jolie. Well done, Joe.
Where's his 2-year-old? Is she run? I think has she run yet? She's run this
Mayday
year.
ready?
Ready.
She's very good.
Yeah, she's a nice horse. Maybe bring her to Japan. Turned out to not be the best move.
So Long-Legged Queen with a victory. All smiles. Winning connections. Picture time. We'll be back with the prices in just a moment. Stay with us. Pratt 3-win Friday afternoon. Closing it out with a finale here in the odds-on favorite. We'll be back.
Live racing returns to Monmouth Park Saturday, May 10th with a 12:50 first post. Our 50-day summer season features a stakes race every Saturday and Sunday, plus a new middle pick 5, joining the win early pick 5 on our wagering menu. With growing pools and field sizes, Monmouth Park is your summer place to profit. Joining us on site, lock in your odds with fixed odds wagering at Monmouth Park Racetrack.
These New York bred foals represent many sires. War Dancer, Salamini, Honest Mischief, Central Banker. But they all have one thing in common. Starting in 2026, they'll be running for the same purse money as Open Company 2-year-olds at Naira Tracks. That's nearly 20% more than they run for now. Learn more about it at nybreds.com.
Introducing Peace and Justice, new to New York in 2025. a proven sire with over 200 wins, 16% wins per starts, and one of only 2 New York-based stallions to have a graded stakes winner at Saratoga in 2024. Now, with 3 different racing surfaces coming to New York, and with New York breds running for equal purses as open company, Peace and Justice is the sure choice for 2025. Peace and Justice, now standing at Irish Hill and Duchess View Stallions in New York.
Racetrack Television Network brings you every race, from every track, on every screen, every day. With monthly packages starting as low as $5, RTN gives you great value and access to more live HD streaming and race replays than anyone. Visit RTN.tv today to sign up and watch on almost any device, including Roku and Amazon Fire. RTN has packages that start at $5 per month.
Welcome back to the show. It's America's Day at the Races, and Nightcap won by the favorite long-legged queen. And here with a guy, his legs aren't that long. It's Jolie, her trainer. But Joe, a filly that I think she found the right spot today, though I'm sure you were probably interested in getting her back on the turf, though.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, she has some good grass form. And she was fortunate to catch a spot like this today, just a 5-horse field. So, yeah, we're happy she got the win. So,
I noticed that she does have the propensity to want to kind of drift out a little bit on the turn, but she straightened up down the stretch.
yeah, Flavian said the same, and Johnny had that kind of issue before. So, I mean, she's extremely sound. I just don't think it's just a habit at this point, but we'll keep looking and we'll evaluate everything, look at top to bottom. But she's extremely sound, so knock on wood.
Joe, you had a sensational year last year with your juvenile filly in Mayday Ready, running second in the Breeders' Cup Juvenile Filly Turf. Talk a little bit about her coming back. An eventful trip as well to Japan too. So how's she doing? Where could we see her next?
Yeah, so we're hoping that the Wonder Again on Belmont Day on June 7th. Unfortunately, she started horsing really bad when we got to Keeneland. Knock on wood, she's doing extremely well. She's over that episode. So she'll work Saturday, either tomorrow or Sunday, and then she'll ship up to Belmont. We'll work her a couple of times there, and then hopefully puts us in a good spot for Belmont Day.
She was very, very exciting. I loved watching her kind of develop through the year. Looking forward to, of course, seeing her back as a 3-year-old. Congratulations here, though, on the Nightcap.
Well, thank you very much. Thank you.
I didn't get a cowgirl. I'm disappointed. Jolie calls everybody cowboy, but the cowboy takes the last year with long-legged queen, guys.
And exciting to have a prospect like that too coming back.
Sure, no question. She was good last year.
She was very good, very talented 2-year-old, and always excited to see if they can take that jump from 2 to 3. And long-legged queen with the win.
One price in. Potentially could have said that race wasn't all where we got that price.
I couldn't get to that horse.
That one was tough to have.
If you got to that horse and you missed this pick 6, you might look back on it and think you missed an opportunity.
Yeah, 4,000 for the pick 6. Hope you had it.
One tough horse.
One tough horse.
Coming up tomorrow, all these stakes races, John A. Nayrod. I think maybe, obviously, the Peter Pan's exciting. We're going to see the winner move on, most likely to the Belmont Stakes. This Nayrod, there's a lot of interesting storylines here.
I think all the stakes are the Ruffian came up a very good race, even if we get some scratches, good horse in there. And I'm really interested to see what you're talking about now.
Yeah, this New York bred 106 Buyer speed figure in that dominant win Acacia back on January 16th.
He was very dominant that day. And this is a horse I've always kind of struggled with a bit because he just carries his weight. Never looks fit. He never looks like he's ready for the race. And obviously he's had some gaps in his starts, but he's able to come out on the track and he's run fast races. Now this race in January with a 106 Buyer speed figure was absolutely dazzling. Unfortunately though, we haven't seen him since then. And so he is the real wild card of this race, Andy, because if he runs that race again,
it's over.
he's grade 1 quality.
Yeah, it's over. Right, I agree. He was entered at Oaklawn, actually, in a tough allowance race a few weeks ago and scratched from there for this spot. Interested to see what he does, but I think Anarchist is a very dangerous horse, a horse who ran well against Booth down the Count Fleet, we expect to see in the True North. Was win, you're in, and we'll see. I think he's dangerous, a horse who's run well in the past.
Meanwhile, Full Moon Madness for Michelle Nevin. Manny Franco will be aboard. Tom Fool victory, 2 starts to go, beating Surveillance.
A big effort from him. The pace did fall apart in the Carter, a Quinn Sprue kind of game and holding on in there, but it was Crazy Mason coming from last to win that Carter. Full Moon Madness, though, I thought was very consistent prior to that and running good races all together, and it seemed like he was trending in the right direction, peaking in that Tom Fool. Now, Andy, did he just kind of take a step back in the Carter? Was it just that dynamics were against him? Is he able to get back to that winter form? Maybe was highlighted with maybe some softer company throughout.
I think 7 furlongs is a bit of a stretch for him. That's not the only excuse you could make for his race in the Carter, but I think that's a bit of a stretch. What he needs to do is break, and I'm always worried about a horse like him breaking from the inside. Now, he has been breaking better in his last couple starts, but that's a very important part of a race for him.
One more look. That's the schedule we have for you tomorrow. 5 stakes on the card. Again, we had a wet track this afternoon. We were off the turf today. Hopefully, the worst of the bad weather's behind us.
Yeah, I don't think it's really been raining that much in the afternoon. It's supposed to get nice tomorrow. So with the way this track can dry out, I'm expecting a fast track tomorrow.
I certainly hope so. And, it is encouraging that we did not get as much rain as was initially forecasted, especially with those good turf stakes. And there's some really good turf allowance races on the card tomorrow as well.
I agree. There's some good racing going forward, and hopefully we can move past some of the rain and get these races in. We'll see what happens.
12:30 Eastern start time tomorrow for us. I'll just ask you before we sign off here, the horse you're most interested in seeing on the card tomorrow with all these stakes?
Wow, that's a good question. I'm looking forward to take the H ranks. I think it's a fun race overall. I like a Clement runner in that race, but I think that's one of the more fascinating open races.
I think it is too. It's incredibly competitive. I got to say Farbridge, though. I'll stay as a homer.
Thought I might hear that come out of you. The 3-time Grade 1 winner back in action for the second start of his 5-year-old campaign early on our coverage tomorrow. We hope to see you on Saturday. Again, 12:30 Eastern start time on Fox Sports 2. Farbridge looking to keep rolling after that successful return in his 5-year-old campaign for the Christophe Clement Barn. Captain Cook, what will he produce? Can he bounce back off that disappointing Wood and get back to the horse we saw in the Withers and punch his ticket to the Belmont Stakes? And it's opening day at the Jersey Shore from Monmouth Park. We'll see you tomorrow.